We will call this meeting to order. Thanks to all of you for being here. I know we have a pretty full agenda this evening, including approval of some teachers. We always love this time of year when we get to meet our new teachers. So with that, Sue, would you do roll call, please?
Alyssa Bouchard, here. Autumn Henry,
Here.
Carrie Germain,
Here.
Ken Engel,
Here.
Chuck Melkey,
Here.
Andrea Fick, here. Kim Winter. Here. All here.
Thank you. Everyone is accounted for. I want to welcome Ken Engel back to the board. He was appointed this last Wednesday by the school board for our opening from Holly Jarvis's departure. With that, I'd like to join you in the pledge of the flag. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. At this time, we have an opportunity for public comment that is specific to items on our agenda. If you would like to address the board, please step forward to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Not seeing anyone at this time. You'll have another chance at the end of the meeting, towards the end of the meeting. All right, next on the agenda, we have a consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
That was Andrea? Have a second? Ken? Comments or questions? Hearing none. Sue, can you do roll call, please? We do have financial information on here.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Andrea Fick. Yes. Alyssa Bouchard. Yes. Autumn Henry.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Ken Engel.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
No, I don't see anything about the new school purchase. No.
What?
Oh, we're going to talk about the school until we celebrate the town hall meeting. There's nothing on the agenda for the school, I don't believe. It's moving.
So yours is a no, Chuck?
Correct.
All right. Sue, that's 5 yeses, 1 no. All right.
6 yes, 1 no.
1 yes, 1 no, yes. Okay, next, I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent, interim superintendent, Mr. Kitchen, for his report.
All right, hello everyone. So last week we received some terribly sad news of the loss of one of our longtime residents, longtime high school secretary, Miss Wanda Cummings, just a vibrant, wonderful person. And I ask at this time if we could please have a moment of silence in honor of Miss Wanda Cummings. Thank you very much. Our hearts go out to her family. For those who will be attending her viewing is this Thursday from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. She's going to have a celebration of life at 5 o'clock at Sharp Funeral Home, and that's really the way Wanda would want, a big celebration of life. So everyone's invited at 5 o'clock to come on out and share some stories of Wanda. You would be very welcome to do that. Secondly, a follow-up from our town hall. Thank you all very much, for those of you who are in attendance. While we were on stage, the content was meant for you in an effort to provide some clarification and some to questions and some feedback, even if it's just in the form of venting about the process. That was the purpose of that. I think we may need more opportunities like that. I'm going to wait for your direction to tell me what you need next. Today our team worked on an FAQ. It's going to be emailed to you tomorrow. Ask that you please provide any information or direction once you receive that. We would like to get it posted online as soon as possible so that those questions can be answered. If you are interested, there's opportunities. For example, Bannock and Cassidy was an outside consultant that we used. If we want to get a more formal survey, because I do think we need to send another survey at some point, they could send one formal, neutral, and provide us information. And I believe they could actually dig deeper in the community than we were able to do. We were doing our survey, it was free. We were using Google Forms. But through Bannock and Cassidy, I think we could dig deeper and get a bigger snapshot of the views of our community. So something to consider and think about as you give me direction for the next steps. Also, and just to continue, please let me know what you need to get your questions answered. I can have the proposal team come back. You can send me questions, I can get answers for you, but I will at this point need your direction on what you need to help you make the answer that you need to answer for this, or the response to the proposal.
This is part of the agenda. Why can't we speak on it? You are talking about the town hall.
Excuse me, this is part of the superintendent's report.
He's speaking about the school.
It's not a stated part of our agenda.
The third piece, as you see, we've added Assistant Superintendent Jamie Cowan to the board meetings. A lot of times, we have questions about finance. It'll be a pleasure to have her up here so she can directly answer your questions. 4, Safe Routes to School. This is a grant, if you remember a few years ago, they put in the walking paths to the schools. It really impacted Siring Elms Road in the middle school. We're now in phase 2 of this grant, and as a result, we have $24,000. $18,000 needs to be spent on a coordinator, and $6,000 needs to be spent on incentives. And so we're going to be working with the principals of those buildings to identify a way to encourage walking and bicycling to school for this year. Finally, we have our Fearless Theater Productions group, our community theater. They're going to be performing Finding Nemo this weekend. They feature a lot of our elementary and middle school students. It's this weekend, Friday at 7 o'clock, Saturday at 7 o'clock, and Sunday at 2 o'clock if you'd like to come to see one of the shows. And that's all of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Kitchen. I was hoping, as before, we've had performances from the drama folks, that maybe they would swim in here tonight and give us a little preview. But for those of you in the community who are interested, these are great performances by students who are very talented. So if you have an opportunity to go, please do so and take your friends. All right.
Quick question.
Sure.
What would the cost of doing another survey be? Do you have a rough idea?
Yeah, so Jamie would probably be better able to speak to this. It would be, I believe you would be.
Sorry.
Jamie,
I think it depends on how many mailings and what are we going to mail. Is it going to be a postcard, is it going to be a letter? But whatever you decide, I can get an estimate turned around very quickly to answer that question specifically. But it was the company that we used during the bond campaign that was very successful.
Anyone else? Questions? Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is our informational items, which are in your packet, employment of non-certified staff. And then we can move on to our board subcommittee reports. I will start with academic achievement. We met. Sure, sorry.
I heard that we're hiring several parapros for some of the, and what do those consist of? What grades? Are they permanent employees?
yes.
What's the pay rate? So that's a three-part question. The last question would be is, I thought that we had talked about it, that we would not add permanent staff without a vote of the board. And I can't recall, I'd have to go back on some of the meetings dates, because that leaves some legacy costs, and how that was budgeted in, because I don't believe Jamie said it 2 months ago that was budgeted in, that 6 positions were being added.
I think it's,
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
because we have gone all year, matter of fact, multiple years, and we haven't filled the parapro positions that we have.
Good.
We are adding 6 kindergarten, these will be kindergarten parapros. As a former elementary principal, I've always believed that that was necessary. I know that Kim Winter had the suggestion. I know that Rod approved, and I 100% support that this would be valuable for our youngest learners. But that's really the mindset. Jamie, financially, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do want to add that they're grant funded, and as I shared at the Finance and Operations Committee meeting last time, we had a carryover of around $600,000 for at-risk. And again, some of that had to do with the third SRO position that we had not yet filled and vacancies overall.
So you're taking the money from the SRO, or part of it from the SRO position? No?
No, that will still be reserved and
Is this grant money for 1 year, or is it a continuation grant? How long is the grant good for?
at-risk rolls over and is generally continuous, so there's no risk of losing the money.
Why did we not add them before then, if we didn't have a risk of losing the money or not having
this idea is being explored fairly new, and it was near the end of the year. I don't know the history of the suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, going to the Academic Achievement Committee, we met on the 17th at 8 a.m. in the morning. We had in attendance myself, Alyssa Bouchard, Andrea Fick, Jim Kitchen, Dave Simonson, and Twin Kaiser. The agenda mainly consisted of a presentation on our early math professional development plans for this coming school year, and our district math coach, Twin Kaiser, provided an exceptional presentation on early math professional development plans for the 2025-2026 school year. I can safely say to my fellow board members who were there, she made us believe that math was really cool. And if that's what's happening to our students, it's going to be amazing. She highlighted implementation of Bridges and Number Corner and shared the collaborative approach that they're using between some experts in the field, the Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators, and other districts who are using or implementing the program. And the plan is to take teachers from our district and hopefully from other districts to ours to watch the best practices and observe how this is implemented and watch the students in learning. And the building leaders, such as Jim and Michelle and others, are actively involved along with the building principals as this process is implemented. So this is a very innovative approach, and it's to help students, especially at a younger age, move past just memorizing facts and to actually be able to understand how numbers relate to real life. And she gave us an example, one example of many, I'm sure, of where students were asked to list multiple ways to represent the number 12. And she gave examples of their reaction to that. So students identified a variety of examples and processes that demonstrated their number sense. So keep that in mind, number sense, and or making sense of numbers. Like a clock, there's 12 numbers, a dozen eggs, 12 eggs, 4 groups of 3, subtraction to get 12, so 71 minus 59. She did invite the board to schedule classroom visits this fall, once they're all settled in the school year, to watch the process and the student-teacher interaction. And she also she's very creative, and she's created a math-themed t-shirt to further inspire students and staff. She also previewed a movie that the intermediate school district is going to provide 2 districts to share with their families if they choose to. It's called Count It Out, Math is Power. Committee members expressed interest in hosting a math night or movie night for families at the Performing Arts Center and suggested that maybe she bring an early math progress update to the board later this year after they're settled. So it was really a great presentation. We thanked her profusely, and we have a great person in that role to help teachers help their students with math. And that's basically, oh, and I just want to mention, we all said that we thought it was fun and cool. So we're looking forward to learning more. Any questions on that? Okay. Let's move on to Andrea.
What? No, I'm just next.
Oh, I thought I had a question.
Did you?
Did you have a question, Chuck?
Oh, yeah. And thank you for doing all that, but a few months back, I asked Rod, it would have been back in February.
Can you turn your microphone towards you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I asked Mr. Rod Heatherton to provide, and you may be able to answer this or not, Carrie, I don't know, splitting the elementary schools. We did that, well, I voted against it, but that's neither here nor there. It was a majority vote, and we voted to split it up. Remember K3 during COVID and 4-5, or 3-5, K2, yeah, I'm sorry. And I asked for some statistical data, and I don't think I've received it yet, or if I have, I must have missed it, because we were told in late 2020, early 21, that the grades would go up for our elementary children, and that we would have a savings of approximately $500,000 a year that we could put back in for other things. So I've not received that data yet, and I don't know how to retrieve that from Michigan Data to see what the grade, what the GPA is, or how are they graded at that level. So I'm still waiting for that, because that was a promise that was made, that we would make our kids smarter or better, and that we would save money, which is a win-win for everybody in the district, but for some reason, it's been difficult to find that data to prove that. So I just would like to know so I could make a decision to either switch back or ask the board to switch back if it's not helping, or just keep it the way it is. Thank you.
I'm seeing Michelle waving over here frantically, so Michelle, if you could maybe.
Well, I was just gonna say, timely enough, I'm doing a data walk tonight. Perfect timing. I am doing a data walk presentation, and I'll be going into a lot of what you're asking for, and then I'm happy to follow up with any more data or meet one-on-one or with a committee, a group, whatever. But you'll get some answers tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, Chuck. Anyone else? All right, let's move on to policy, please. Andrea.
Not a question, but the quote of the day from that meeting from Twin was "Learning is messy." Oh, actually, I think that was, no, it was Twin. And it was like a great, like, I think we struggle with that in every aspect of life. Learning anything new is messy, so especially for our kids. Remember that. So policy committee was myself, Carrie, Alyssa, Jim, and Dave Simonson, all in attendance. We called our meeting to order at 9:12 a.m. And we covered the 400 policy. My apologies. So we actually got interrupted in the middle of our meeting with Wanda's passing. So we kind of finished up pretty quick with that. The policy changes, most of them in the 400s or 4000s were mandatory or already in our policy. After, we weighed out the news of Wanda, we decided to hold off on going through the 500 policies until our next meeting. So we did not have any public there at that meeting. During the committee comments, Alyssa did mention, we talked about setting a policy for voting when appointing new board members. But the more we talked about that, we did decide, since the consensus at that last meeting where we appointed a new board member, and at the subcommittee meeting, since the policy gives the board the room to make a decision at the time of the appointment, to not mess with it and leave it there. And each board can make their own decision when the time comes. So our next meeting, I listed as to be announced, because we did talk about some potential date changes or time changes. I know for August, it's pretty intense, because we have a couple of different board meetings, who's got what happening. We cannot, I believe after looking through it, and I talked to Carrie about it, because we back to back, we cannot change the August meeting. So, forgive me. I want to make sure the August meeting, we had talked about potentially changing dates and times, but because of the other meetings we have in August, changing it, we talked about potentially changing to a Tuesday morning, then it would be the first day of school. So for our next meeting, we are going to have to keep that one on August 21st, but we can explore some options for September. But we did talk quite extensively about that. Carrie and I looking at the calendar, and we just have, I believe, two board meetings in August, and with the start of school and with some other scheduling things, we can't change August, but we will look into maybe moving September's to a Tuesday to accommodate.
Was going to be in the morning.
And the next meeting is August 21st.
Okay.
Yes, and my meeting is at 9 a.m. And we-
Always, because, well, I just asked for it to be in the afternoon, so, because I have a job, like, a
Right.
job, if you will.
And I have an evening job, right? So I mean, I completely understand.
Yeah.
And I know I got your email and talking about like making these moves. So like I said, we are going to look at September, but for August, with all the other things going on in
Yeah.
August, changing the date, because Kim wanted a date change, you want a time change, so, trying to be accommodating to anyone, to make it to meetings. Of course, that's always an objective, but for August, I can't change the meeting date in August to accommodate Kim's date change. So for August, we have to keep it the same, but if we can look at changing September's, I'm open to that. But we also have to consider the staff that affects too, and who's presenting at those meetings.
I thought we talked about that too, right? The staff, that they didn't necessarily have to be there at the policy meetings?
Well, Jim and Dave do,
Yeah.
they have to be at those.
Okay. I thought we talked about that last meeting.
Yes, I mean, they have to be at those meetings as well too.
Yeah, we knew that the academic achievement may not be able to be changed because the school teachers are here during the day, but the policy and procedure maybe could have some flex in it and do it late in the afternoon, so.
And that would give us
Hold
like
on.
6 meetings in August. Just
No, I don't.
I'm not
wanna-
saying August,
yeah,
I'm
We don't want to
saying-
change it in August.
Right,
I'm
right,
just
August
saying
has
in
a
the
lot
future.
going on, yeah, that's
Not
why I said
talking
like
about
August, we have a
August.
lot happening with the start of school and.
Dave and
2
Jim
board
are always
meetings.
here, usually at 5 o'clock anyways. Right, Jim? I mean, they're usually here, so if we have to go a few minutes extra, because I could probably stay to do that too. And then, why was this meeting changed? We always set meetings on Wednesdays. What's going on with today? Somebody's on vacation?
We did it back in January.
No, back
know we
in
did.
January, I requested that this
Oh.
meeting be moved from Wednesday to Monday.
Oh, okay.
If everybody was in agreement, because I have a standing July conference that I go
Oh.
to and I present at.
No worries, I was just wondering about
So,
that. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, and I appreciated the flexibility there, but July is really the best place for us to set the standard meetings for the year, and as Andrea mentioned, we're trying to be accommodating. August has 2 regular school board meetings and a lot of other meetings going on, so we can have a conversation about what will work best for folks. I don't know, Jim, do you ever think about noon time, or Andrea, do you have flexibility at noon, or?
Well, I think the question on the table is doing it after 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
Or at 4 would work too.
right,
I mean,
and Kim had a date conflict, and again, I mean, our goal is to try to get as many people here as possible. These are the dates that we all agreed upon in January, so it's not that we can't change them, but making them all work. So Kim had a conflict with the 3rd Thursday, which they're not always on the 3rd Thursday, and going through them, we maybe moving it to Tuesdays, the week before operation. So it's not the same time. I know you talked about back in policy up to match up to yours, that's just too many. And we all want to try to make it to all of them. I mean, I had 5 meetings here last week, so that's 10 extra hours of my life here doing this. So it's about spreading it out, so we're not spending half of our time here, because we all have kids and jobs beyond this as well too. So, I mean, if you guys all want to email me some thoughts and input, I definitely want to consider maybe a Tuesday, the week before your meeting for operations and finance.
What time are
If
you
that
thinking?
works.
4 o'clock?
If that's what the common consensus, if that works for the majority of the people, 4 o'clock on the Tuesday, 2 weeks before the regular board meeting. So you'll have to go through the calendar and see when the board meetings are, because yours is the Tuesday, the week before, and then we'd be that. I mean, I could put out the dates to everybody, would that be easier if I put the dates out and then you guys could vote?
like any day works, I'm free any day, any week, whatever. It's just got to be at 4 or later. So that's all I'm asking.
4 o'clock would work for me too.
I don't know.
I probably have a little more flexibility than you guys, because my kids are grown, but.
So again, all of these dates are already on the calendar from January, so I will go through, if you guys prefer, and I'll put out a couple of dates, September, October, November, December, the rest of the year, and we'll go with majority date and time. How's that? I can do a little email to everybody,
Sounds good.
and then we can vote on it and put it in the minutes in August. So everybody has notice, because these are open meetings. Not this meeting, we're talking about our subcommittee meetings, where we talk about a lot of the things we make decisions on today. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to the public if we put that out there and do a little survey. Sound good, Ken?
Well, just a little sidebar on
Yeah.
that is when Jeff and Jeff were here, all of our committee meetings were held in the afternoon. And when Ben came here, I won't say why, but he didn't like them in the afternoon, and he didn't like 2 meetings a month. And so during his tenure, we changed our committee meeting times, and we also changed the amount of committees we had. And we also went from 2 board meetings a month, 10 months out of the year, to 1 board meeting a month. So it's not like it hasn't been done before. And then something you guys spoke about when we were having the special meeting to find a new board member, the one thing that I sat there and listened to when you were talking about the academic achievement, I was a little taken back by the fact that you want to have it in the meeting, in the morning, when staff, meaning teachers and administrators, should be with students. I have no idea if it's so important for a teacher to be in front of their students and vice versa, why we would have a teacher presenting or an administrator out of their building when children are there, especially when you only have one building principal in the elementaries. So I would say you do something similar to what you do when a teacher subs for someone on their planning hour. Give them the pay for the planning hour and have them come to the meeting at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Not saying don't compensate them and make it well, but I don't know why they wouldn't be in front of students, and I don't know why the principals wouldn't be in the buildings.
So Jim, can you address the need to have flexibility related to the staff time?
Yeah, just, we don't have an individual teacher who's constantly coming out of the class. It has been easy just to have people come at that time at 8 o'clock and present. If it's an administrator, it might be one time a year that Jamie would come and present from the high school. So we're not hitting individual classrooms a lot. But again, I'm flexible with whatever you guys as a board decide to do. We can make it work and make it happen. That's just the thinking behind why we had academic achievement, because most of the time that is staff rich.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this just for me too. It's like for the whole public. I know there's a lot of questions from the public right now too, and they would like to take part in some of these meetings so they have all the information too. I mean, yeah, I would like to have it, and I would like to be there, but it's more so afternoons tend to work better for the working class, I guess. I mean, just involvement. Yeah, I'm good.
No, that's, I didn't think about that, but most parents are working during the day, and if they did want to come, it would be difficult for them to attend if they didn't want to, they felt uneasy about coming to a meeting like this and asking questions. There's a little bit more leeway at a subcommittee meeting. I thought since the board started in January, if I'm not mistaken, because I came to a lot of policy and a few academic, not a lot, but wasn't academic started at 4 o'clock, Carrie? That's when you started it last year. And then policy and procedure was at 5 because Jack could not make the meetings. So we did a 4 to 5 academic meeting, and we did a 5 to 6 policy and procedure, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
I mean, that actually, I mean, I'm just openly thinking out loud, that kind of makes sense, but.
And again, I mean, even when we did it then, we had like no one from the public there, which I
That's
agree. I
true.
mean, yeah, you want to have it there, but again, I work in the evenings. So, I mean, you are going to, you can't say there's a pigeonhole that everyone's going to be able to make it this time and these dates. And I think we can change it in January because.
I don't think the public really knows about it, though. I think we should advertise that more.
I mean, we talk about it, we give committee reports every time we meet, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I know.
For that last time too, the committee reports don't necessarily even scratch the surface on what's talked about at those meetings.
Right, but every time we say there's public comment, so they are, and I know I've said it more than once, that our subcommittee meetings are for the public. I mean, try to put it out there so people know. So again, I mean, I'm more than willing to put out a survey to the board and see who and when, the majority dates and times we can make it work.
Thanks, Andrea. Yep, very much. All right, let's move on to finance. Alyssa.
Thanks, Carrie. The meeting was called to order at 2:07 PM on July 15th. Attendees were myself, Carrie, Chuck, Andrea, Jim Kitchen, Jamie Cohen, Bill Loader, Dave Simonson, Travis Smith. From the public, we had representatives from Larrabee Construction, Cooper Commercial, Plant Moran, Thrun Law, as well as Auk Construction, Flint and Genesee Economic Alliance, and many community members. First on the agenda, we talked, oh, sorry, that was horrible. First on the agenda, we talked about fieldwork set for September 2nd through 4th. Ms. Cowan shared that the fieldwork is standard each for the year for September 2nd through 4th. Next on the agenda was financials. Mrs. Cowan reviewed the budget to actual financials for each fund for the month ending in June 30th, or on June 30th. The report is marked unaudited as year-end closing adjustments are yet to be made. So I just want to go through the cash and investment balances for June 30th. The general fund had $13,013,486.39. Food service had $653,955.68. Student activity funds at $881,797.18. Debt service fund had $2,600,973.45. And the capital project funds had $38,403,351.84, with a total of $55,553,564.54. We then moved on to agenda item number 3, which were grants. Ms. Cowan stated that this has wrapped up, showing a carryover, and what I'm talking about is the 31A fiscal report. The carryover was of $600,000. This is attributable to vacancies in staffing and a planned third SRO officer who has not yet been filled. We talked about the federal landscape. Ms. Cowan stated that since the Department of Education has been dismantled, we should keep this top of mind for the budget. The state budget has not yet been approved, and the school is conservative about not knowing what is going on, hence the preliminary deficit budget. Next on the agenda, we had some other items. We had a credit card statement request. Ms. Cowan shared that a board member had shared this request and would share the information today, which I know that we all had received, as well as the community ed recap. At a prior meeting, it was shared that a board member would like a community education recap, which will take place after the audit. We'll have some board action items tonight. We have 3204 policy operating renewal and investment resolution. This is a formal resolution to be approved to invest and move money. And then we also will have an approval of a Chromebook purchase. This is a $79,569 purchase and is part of the tech items and the 2025 bond. Regarding public comments, we had none. Committee comments, we had none. The meeting had adjourned at 2:29 p.m. and our next meeting will be August 21st. And we talked about changing the times in this meeting as well to move the bond committee to 2 o'clock, finance at 3, and operations at 4. Thank you.
Are we making that a change? Are we actually doing that change? Those 3 times, so bond first? Okay.
Thank you, Alyssa. Any other questions for Alyssa?
I have a question. You're changing what? What again? Say that again, please.
The bond committee would be at 2 o'clock, going through finance and then operations.
Okay, thank you.
We have so many services involved in that meeting that it's best to give them a hard start time instead of trying to guess when the other committee meetings are ending.
Okay, anyone else? All right. And are you going to give the bond report, bond
I
committee?
can do it right now, or I can do it after ops, whatever you want.
Why don't we go after Chuck? Sure. It's a good idea.
She's welcome to do it. That way the finance stuff can, if you want, if she's ready. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so following the finance committee meeting, we also had the bond committee of the whole. This is a new committee, super excited to chair this. Called the meeting to order at 4:02 p.m. Attendees were myself, Carrie, Chuck, Jim Kitchen, Jamie Cowan, Bill Loader, Dave Simonson, Travis Smith. From the public, we had AUK representatives, which was Sydney Schultz and Aaron St. Dennis, and French representative Suzanne Carlson. So first on the agenda was just a bond report. Representatives from AUK Construction and French and Associates provided a monthly bond update. And so I'm just going to go through some highlights for our current projects. We have mechanical upgrades being done by SME at the middle school and elementary, and they're progressing well despite minor issues, no completion concerns. Dry coolers, they shipped this past Friday with installation targeted for early August. S&D Mechanical is currently installing valves. The cage project remains on schedule. Pavement demolition and layout are underway. At Moorish, we have dry coolers being installed. And at Cyrene, cranes are on site and steel installation is in progress for roof patching. We then talked about design and planning and collaborating with French and Associates on Deke Elementary designs. We had a status on our budget, which projects remain under budget, with the cage project $100,000 below projections. AUK Construction shared about a new format to track and present year-to-date savings, so that's in the works for our next meeting. Talked about photos and visuals, so to include progress photos for the community to see key work areas, including crane and steel operations, which were shared. We talked about inspections and a punch list. So final inspections will include a detailed punch list upon project completion. And then also we touched base on technology purchases, where Mr. Smith shared instructional tech purchases. Regarding public comments, we had none. We did have some committee comments. Mr. Melky shared his appreciation for creating the bond committee and requested that the board be involved in a walkthrough on projects. Mrs. Carlson shared that this can be arranged after the final punch lists are completed. Ms. Cowan recommended reorienting the start time of the committees, like I had shared, so that our all-conference representatives have a predictable start time. Ms. Cowan also stated that these monthly reports will be housed on the bond page on our website. Mr. Kitchen added that Michelle Corbett is adding photos as projects as they happen on our bond page. So the meeting adjourned at 4:16 p.m. and our next meeting will be at August 21st at 2:00 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa. Any questions for Alyssa?
Yeah. I thought when that idea was originally proposed, that we were going to ask for members of the community to maybe sit in with that committee.
I actually mentioned it, Autumn wasn't here, but I think I mentioned it, that, because there was a lot of people here from the public, if we could have one or two people, we'd pick two, but have several people submit their names, and if they wanted to sit in on the bond committee, they could, trying to copycat what we did for the 2018 bond.
You didn't have anybody step up to do that?
Well, everybody that was here were like, it was the mega site people, and there was like nobody really from the public. I think there was two people from the public that was on our building committee and bond committee. Shelley may have been here, and I don't know, she raised her hand. I think Jessica LeNave was here, and a lady by the name of Jenny Walgast. Those are the three that weren't associated with a group of people that I recall, so I don't remember.
And they want to be on the committee?
I don't know if nobody said that they
Well, we
have
got
to
an
formally
email
put it in.
from
Yeah.
one stating that they wanted to be on the committee, from
was
Jenny
that?
Woolgast.
Oh, okay.
That
Well,
was-
there's your first volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, we did. I have a short memory. I'm sorry. No. I talked to so many people. I apologize. I recall talking to you after the meeting, but
So Shelley Thompson and Jenny Wolgast?
yeah, I mean, that's fine. Have we received any other names, Madam President? I don't know.
No, I did receive a message, as did, I think, the rest of the board, for interest by Jenny Walgast.
I'm all for
Future.
that.
She didn't specifically say a bond committee necessarily, but was interested in becoming more involved.
Well, and she was one of the candidates that put in for the open trustee spot, so I think that's a great thing, and if Shelley wants to do it, if you have the time with all your duties, I nominate that we put Shelley. I think we have to have a formal nomination, might as well just do it now. Well, I don't know if it's out of order. I'm sorry, I'll wait. It might be out of order and it's not really on the agenda.
So Chuck, let me suggest that we have a conversation with the folks. I know we can see Shelley right now. Jenny's sitting right
Oh,
next
I
to her.
didn't see Jenny. Okay, hi.
And
Sorry.
maybe have a conversation with you folks after the meeting, and then we can solidify that.
That's fine.
Does anybody object to adding public members to that committee? I didn't hear any previously. Okay,
No, but
thank you. All right.
Outside the meeting minutes, right?
So before we move on from Alyssa's report, I'll need a motion to approve her report.
So moved.
Okay, comments or questions? Hearing none, Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Alyssa Bouchard,
Yes?
Autumn Henry,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Ken Engel, Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
7 yes.
And can we do that because there's financial information, so she's reported that out to the community. We just want to make sure that
Oh,
we've
I-
accepted it.
Yeah, Kira, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Just 1 second on the floor. We approved that the financial director can invest money. Did we put a cap on that?
We didn't.
We are,
Oh, I'm sorry,
no, that's okay. But
All right,
thank you
no,
for asking.
I'm getting ahead. Okay, I apologize. I'll hold my question.
Okay. All right, so next, we have Chuck with operations, building and site.
Okay, the Mary Crapo update was, well, everybody that Alyssa said was present at the meeting that I was at for the most part, and I didn't list all the public because usually there's only 2 people there and there was about 30 there, so it just says members from the public present. The Mary Crapo update, the underground storms are being done this week along with stone being delivered for all the field drainage now that the rain stopped, and they're gonna do some string tests and make sure everything's level, and they'll start installing AstroTurf late next week, I believe, and it should be all put in by mid-August. The dugouts are pretty much done, not complete, but pretty much done. The pickleballs will be finished in the next week or 2. They're gonna put up the posts, the fencing, the netting, the coating on there, and that'll show a lot of progress if somebody wants to peek in there. And there's still slight delays, but they plan on being on time by mid to end of October because of the heavy rains. So that's it for Mary Crapo. And then we went to the operations update. And I've had to print this bigger because I didn't have my reading glasses on my computer. Alyssa already said it, all the steel supports are completed for all the schools that are getting the new dry coolers, with the exception of the middle school because they had some walls that weren't thick enough, so they have to do some reinforcing there. But they should all be done by August 15th and should be operational at the beginning of school. If they're not, at least the heavy construction will be done so they don't have to interrupt the kids' learning. July 23rd is the actual start date, from what I recall, that the Cage parking lot, phase 1 will begin, and that's on the south side. That's the largest part of the parking lot, so they're gonna have to do that. He didn't have a finish date, but hopefully it'll be almost complete by the start of school, and then they're gonna start on the north side of the lot after the first phase is done. That'll be called phase 2. Dave Spillane wants the old wall sconces for the Historical Society. Bill informed us that they're currently being stored at one of the huts over there and that they're really not worth anything. I suggested that we formally agree here and put it up to a board vote to give them the items. And as I said, Bill said they're not much value. The building committees agreed to do it by an informal, I called a vote for it, and we all agreed to it. I don't see it on our agenda this evening, though. I don't know if we need it on our agenda. I should have asked for, maybe that's why I didn't approve the agenda.
So Chuck, I would not be opposed if there is an objection. Let me know to a motion as such to donate those sconces to the Historical Society. I know they find great value in them from a historical standpoint.
Okay, let me finish this paragraph,
Okay.
and then I'll move on, and
Thank you.
we'll, if it's okay with the board, we'll do that. The Little Dragons parking lot's being redone on the south side. Actually, all the parking lots being redone. But on the south side, as it was being repaired, the neighbor who lives directly to the south, no names mentioned, walked out and told Bill that's his parking lot, or part of it. And after some investigation by Mr. Loader, it was found that potentially the property or part of the south lot is owned by him. So I suggested that we get a survey done right away or go to the Genesee County Register of Deeds and figure out who actually owns the property. The rest of the board members asked, I believe Andrew did, can we get an easement? And we're not against that, or just an outright purchase of what little bit of property that he has there. I might add that most of the board members weren't there when that happened, so don't blame me or Andrea. That was done before we were there. I don't know why a survey wasn't done, but when we bought that doctor's office, it was the former doctor's office there, everybody knows about it in town. Somehow, part of the gentleman's lot to the south is, he owns it, so we'll figure that out. But we gave Bill permission to go ahead and do the surveys if needed, and then to come back to the board for the purchase, if we need to, of that property, depending on the cost, what he wants for it. And there was a huge presentation by the mega site. I wasn't aware that they were going to give a presentation. So I want to explain to the board, I maybe should have stopped it. I was kind of caught off guard, so I don't know if I violated the Opens Meeting Act. I'm going to self-report myself tomorrow. I've already drafted a letter to report myself. So. Well.
For this meeting?
Yeah, because they weren't really on the agenda, and they showed up, a large group of them, and they started talking at the operations committee, and I did state I'm kind of caught off guard. I don't have any questions, which I didn't write there because it was an hour-long talk, and I don't know if that was appropriate or not. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm a little concerned about it, and I'm just gonna report myself. I'm still at the chair. I guess I'll take the brunt of it, but I didn't know they were coming. And they got it kind of added on at the operations committee, which didn't say anything about them. I don't make the agenda, but I'm just telling you guys that. Don't worry about it.
So-
If you
so
want
Chuck-
to discipline me, you can, or send it to the state of Michigan, because at the end of the day, I'm a rule follower, and I wasn't thinking on my feet. And when they were here and they said, well, they're going to have some things to say, I thought they'd talk more at public comment, not at the operations committee, or operations update. That's what it says, operations update. And that's really not an update. That's more of a separate
Presentation.
presentation. And, you know, after the meeting, I started thinking about it. I'm like, I may have really screwed up, because I probably should have asked for an agenda change. And I'm going to take partial blame, because I should have did something, I guess, and I was caught off guard. So that's all. I'm sorry. Next.
Hey, just to clarify, and with all due respect, that meeting happened because this board booked it. It was, if you look at the board meeting from June, 2 hours, 52 minutes to 2 hours, 56 minutes, that was all done with this board.
I did look at that, but all they did was confirm, like, they just invited them. It wasn't
Yeah.
set in stone, it wasn't
I didn't look at that.
scheduled, it wasn't on the agenda even. So
Yeah.
if it was determined then, how come it wasn't on the agenda, I guess, would be my question.
It was under operations, and again, that was not my meeting. I didn't schedule that meeting. That was the meeting that was scheduled by the board.
Right.
It was booked and everything. They pulled out their phones and lined it up right there. My meeting was the town hall, and it was
Yeah.
broadcasted publicly. So it may be an oversight, but it.
Okay, so
I
then why
could've-
wasn't it
I'll
on the
say this.
agenda if it wasn't your doing?
It was under operations, which it is an operations.
The operations update, so the superintendent update, isn't it that like saying the same thing, that during the superintendent update, we can say, anybody want to present tonight? Like, if that's supposed to be your update, right? Wouldn't
No,
that be
no.
Chuck's update? I guess,
I guess
maybe
so.
I'm just confused.
Well, the operations update normally is Mr. Loader. He says what's going on without, hey, we're updating the roofing units, and we're updating all the stuff. I'm not saying anybody's, I'm telling you, I'll take that, but I've never set the agenda for my own operations meeting in the last 7 years I've been here. And I started thinking about it after I read it, and I was just a little concerned that, I guess maybe I should have stopped him and said, you can talk at public comment, but I don't know. I don't know I don't even know if I committed anything, so.
So Chuck, go back to the area that Jim just mentioned.
About the last month? Okay, I'll
Right.
go review that.
And we discussed adding it on to
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah,
operations
it was
meeting.
discussed, not set in stone.
Well, that
That's
makes
what
me
I'm
feel a
telling you.
little
I
better.
watched it again. I watched it 3 times. It wasn't confirmed. All right, see you guys on July 15th. It was just, how does July 15th work for you? And that was it.
I think if everybody will go back and take a look, there were no no's, and there were a couple of yeses. And so
Okay,
they knew,
that's good.
they showed up for that purpose. And, I will take blame for maybe not reminding that they were coming, but that meeting was scheduled by the board.
Are you saying we voted on it?
There wasn't a need for a vote.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Okay, Jamie, you have a question. I see your motion. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Chuck. I didn't know what the quorum was as far as me speaking, but I just wanted to clarify back on the LDLC parking lot. We knew that we didn't have a signed easement, and we have a GSRP grant to repair the parking lot. So Bill took a document that Troon drafted to the neighbor.
Oh,
Said-
since we've talked.
Right, so it was
Oh.
not a surprise or anything like that. But
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that we were aware, and we were trying to
Yeah.
get that legally, binding, so that before we made improvements to the site that is the easement spot, we were covered.
Great.
And now,
Thank you.
from that conversation, the homeowner wanted to explore selling, and that's where the survey, you granted
Right.
permission to pursue the survey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Well, yeah, I'd rather just, yeah. Yeah, correct. Okay, so anyways, there was about an hour discussion with the mega site people, and they presented some additional items than they did from the meeting before, as Carrie stated, and it lasted approximately an hour. I did not type it all up because I couldn't keep up with it. It was an hour long, but I do have the gist of it if anybody wants it. And then public comment, Jessica LeNave asked questions about the mega site, food services, if some money could be used for that, potentially saving money on maintenance costs, how many new houses would be built along with the business that may be attracted to that. Jenny Walgas talked about the purchase price of Moore School. John Poposik asked about, of course, parking and pavilions at Mary Crapo, which he always asks about. So I think we're going to have to put in a small pavilion, which that was original, I think, in our original plans. And then committee comment, Alyssa asked questions about the age of the Morse building and the report on it and current conditions, and if there was any toxic waste that may be released, chemical, asbestos, et cetera, if construction occurs. And Jamie was nice enough to add in that if there is any walls opened up, they have to follow all building codes things, so that was good. And then the meeting concluded at 3:45 p.m., and the next meeting will be on August 26, 2025, and it'll be changed because it'll be on that date, but it could start anywhere from approximately 4 to 5 o'clock, because we'll have bond committee at 2, as Alyssa said. Immediately following that will be the finance committee, and then immediately following that will be the operations committee. So, yes, for around 4 o'clock. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Any questions for Chuck? All right. Next, we have a very exciting data walk presentation from Michelle Paul, and we're going to walk away thinking math is cool, among other things. Thank you, Michelle.
Hey, to kind of kick her off a little bit here, so Rod allowed me the opportunity last year to find a way that we could get her into central office. Everyone here knows, it's no secret, that we need to absolutely focus on student achievement. And there's no better person to bring over as curriculum director than Michelle Paul. Last year we started by doing building tours. We bounced around to buildings, and she'll share some about that. I can tell you, I can attest, after being in 2 buildings, we have one of the hardest working staffs in the state. And now our goal is to focus that energy and attention on the things that really matter, student achievement. So Michelle's going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly here, and our plan for next steps. So.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here, and I know a lot of times when we start talking about curriculum and instruction and data, people's eyes kind of glaze over, and I might be one of the few people that just really geek out about this stuff. However, I was so glad to hear the interest and the importance everyone here was placing on academic achievement. And I would be happy to talk academic achievement at 7 o'clock at night. It really doesn't matter to me. I will show up, and I hope to pack this audience with parents and community people and everybody, because this is what we're here for. All the finance and all the operations and all the parking lots. It all has to do with our children and their academic needs and progress. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. And I'm going to start right out with the elephant in the room that, thank you, Mr. Melke. You asked me, I think it was last meeting in June maybe, about what did I know about School Digger and School Digger data. And I didn't know about that at the time. And there are a lot of these sites out there that families use, community people use to investigate areas and communities and school districts and decide, do they want to locate in those areas? And so it behooves us to know about these sites and this data and understand where it's coming from and be able to communicate with our stakeholders and communicate out to the world at large what we stand for as a community and as a school district. So School Digger states that we are 411th out of 610 Michigan school districts. And that is, according to their site, based on August 2024 State of Michigan academic data, which makes sense because that's when the state gives us our M-STEP data. So our kids all test in April and beginning of May, and we don't get that data back from the state of Michigan until the end of August usually. In fact, it's based on 2024 data because even though our kids are done with the school year, the state hasn't yet given us our 2025 data about how students performed on those tests. When they do, I'll be back in front of you to share all of that data and where we stand. So just understand that these are what we call lagging indicators. It's data that's over a year old from the get-go. There's also, I could poke holes at School Digger all day long about where their data comes from and is it accurate. For example, 610 Michigan school districts. There are 540 local public school districts and 286 public school academies. And so I'm not quite sure where they get the 610 number. And so then I don't know how we're 411. So I'm just going to go right into our actual performance data tonight and talk about our performance data. I want to direct everyone's attention to the slides all around us. And you can see that over the years, there's 2016 to 2024, and over the years, we have performed in Creek. We used to perform at or above the state average. That red line represents roughly the state average. And then something happened. In fact, you notice in the data, there is no 2020 data. We couldn't even test that year because they shut school buildings down. We couldn't test. We didn't know what our data was in 2020. The pandemic was declared, and it didn't officially end until recently, May 2023. So during those years, something happened. We all shifted our focus to our students' safety. We've shifted to their physical safety and well-being. We shifted to their mental and emotional well-being during those years. And quite frankly, scores went down, and we are performing below the state average. And we have a lot of room to grow, and I want to go in more detail about where we stand with you tonight, and then what we plan to do about it. So the rest of my report is based off this Education Recovery Scorecard, which is online. You can access this. And they took scores across the nation and gave a report on each state. And it's the most recent annual report. It was released February 2025. It is done by a collaboration between the Center of Education Policy Research at Harvard and the Educational Opportunity Project at Stanford Universities. So it's looking specifically at grades 3 through 8 nationally because most states, including ours, do not test with a state test kids in kindergarten, first, second grade. We have lots of local assessments that we do, but we don't test them officially with a state assessment until third grade. And then in high school, the kids are taking SATs or ACTs, things like that, usually. So 3rd through 8 is the data they used because it could be compared all across the nation. And they could level the playing field so that Michigan students compared to students in Mississippi or Massachusetts or what have you, we were comparing apples to apples. So they adjusted the data and the tests because every state has their own test, right? They adjusted all their data and metrics so that we were comparing apples to apples. So M-STEP is data that helps us, but it can only help us see trends. It doesn't show us recent growth or achievement. It doesn't show us minute to minute how to help our students. So we do a lot of assessing throughout the school year to help us know exactly what kids need and what we can do to help them. But it does, it does help our general broad decision-making. So first of all, you need to know that Michigan ranked 17th in the nation in math recovery. So they talked about how that grade kind of area with the blue dots there on the graph, that's when the pandemic data cap occurred where we weren't testing, right? So that's where it hit hot and heavy. And you can see how Michigan, where students were doing pretty well prior to that, and then the big drop, the big change. So right now across Michigan, students in general are about 40% of a grade level, almost a half of a grade level behind in math compared to where they were in 2019. And that's true in all of Michigan districts. In our district, you see our scores, and we are actually lower. Our average is over a grade level behind in math. And you heard our Academic Achievement Committee report and how Twin Kaiser, we hired a brand new math coach. That's a position that we didn't have. That's out of at-risk funds because we need to do something. We are bringing in grant money, and we are bringing in new ideas, new curriculum. This board has voted for the Bridges and Number Corner curriculum, and I appreciate your support on all of that, because those things are going to address, along with training, coaching, they're going to be doing learning labs, teacher labs. Last year they went to various districts all around us that were doing better than us in math and observed the teachers teaching this new curriculum. And so we are on the path to improve on this. But we have to acknowledge this is where we've been. Reading is really, really sobering. In the state of Michigan, 98% of students in Michigan are in districts where the reading achievement is below the 2019 levels. Let that sink in. 98% of students in Michigan are in districts where the reading achievement is below where we were in 2019. We ranked 44th in the nation in Michigan in reading recovery after pandemic. That is why the state of Michigan has a whole new set of laws they've passed that are groundbreaking, like I've never seen, where they are requiring us to adopt specific curriculum. And again, I thank the board for, in our June meeting, approving the adoption and the purchase of Being a Reader, which is a state-approved curriculum that aligns to the new science of reading and the new reading methodologies. We have signed up all of our teachers to take letters training. Again, groundbreaking. It's a 2-year training program, intense. And we're hoping that's gonna bring us back up. If you see that line, that dark line, it was the national average, and you can see Creek, we were rocking it. Like, we were above the national average leading into the pandemic, and then now have fallen, like many, many other Michigan districts, behind the national average. And something needs to be done. And in this report from Harvard and Stanford, they talked about the hidden culprit, which is chronic absenteeism. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic and so many kids going virtual or hybrid, or, people not wanting to send their kids to school sick, totally understandable, but chronic absenteeism rose, and it was 20% in 2019. It rose to 38% in 2022, and now it's back down to 30% in 2024 in Michigan. Now, when you think about it, that's kids missing 10% or more, and some of our kids are missing like 20, 30% of the days of school, and all of that instruction right along with it. And so not just our academic programs and our curriculum and our instruction, but how we engage students and our families, how we address this chronic absenteeism is huge. In Swartz Creek, we peaked at 40%. 40% of our students were missing 10% or more of their days of instruction in 2022. And now we've brought it back down, but it still remains 14% higher than our pre-pandemic levels of chronic absenteeism. And that is impacting our academic scores. There's no doubt. So these are our overall trends: declining performance in math and reading, continued high rates of chronic absenteeism, and a need for strategic interventions to improve these outcomes. So analyzing, and I've spoken to most of these things as I went through, we really focused on safety. Physical, psychological safety took over in those years. There was a lot of focus on being trauma-informed, because the kids who experienced that pandemic came to us with trauma. And not to mention, as you guys have talked about here, and Mr. Melky makes a very good point, during those 4 school years from 2020 to 2023, we went through multiple transitions. We offered 3 different learning modalities: virtual, hybrid, and in-person. We reconfigured our school buildings, on top of all of that, all at the same time. And so that has impacted our ability to recover and move in the right direction. And now we're ready and on our feet and ready to go and get these things addressed. So Professor Tom Kane from Harvard said that unless state and local leaders step up now, the achievement losses will be the longest lasting and the most inequitable legacy of the pandemic. And when we say most inequitable, that's because poor students perform much lower than our non-poor students. And I know I'm using terminology that we normally don't use. We use economically disadvantaged, but this report actually uses that label, that language, and disaggregates the data, poor versus non-poor. And it's a matter of equity. So community involvement is key. I'm so glad we have all these people, and I would love to have academic achievement at a time where we could pack the house, because it's only through engaging our parents and our community that we're really going to be able to turn this around by reducing absenteeism and supporting our students. The new literacy dyslexia law: all teachers must be trained in the science of reading by September of 2027. That's why our teachers are starting now in the LETTERS course, which is a 2-year-long course. Literacy coaching must be provided. Students must be screened for dyslexia. The new NWEA that the board adopted, the assessment that you agreed to purchase, has a dyslexia screener built in, so that's perfect. We have to adopt state-approved reading assessments and curriculum, which we've done now, and we have to use MTSS practices and interventions, which we have been doing. So this is our plan: LETTERS training, use our district coaches, use our new assessment protocol, adopt that state-approved K-5 literacy curriculum, and update all of our district MTSS practices to align with the law. In terms of math, this is what Twin was talking about to the Academic Achievement Committee. We are part of a grant with the state, and they're going to help guide us to establish a math leadership team in our district, specifically to focus on math and improving our math outcomes. There will be a training plan focused on the early math essential practices. So every month, Twin goes to training by the state and then comes back to train our teachers in the district. The coaching plan, she'll go into classrooms, model, give feedback to teachers on their implementation of these new curricular materials. We are using Number Corner in the coming year, K-5. Bridges will be used K-2, and then the following year, it'll go up to grades 3 through 5. We have to phase it in because it is such a different way to learn and think about math, and we don't want to overwhelm our students or our staff, so it has to be phased in over a few years. We started last year, K-1 had bridges. This year we're adding second grade and Number Corner 3 through 5, and then bridges 3 through 5 next year. The NWA MAP math growth screening assessment will be much more of an in-depth assessment than what our STAR could give our teachers. And there'll be teacher labs to see all the new curriculum in action, and we really want to create an open door policy in our classrooms where teachers feel comfortable to be visited and to visit other rooms and learn from each other. We know that collective efficacy is one of the biggest factors to improving student outcomes. And so we want to build our teachers' collective efficacy and have them feel confident and comfortable and understand that learning is messy, right? And that you're not going to be perfect, and it's okay. But we're all growing together. We're going to address chronic absenteeism by incorporating it into our already existing MTSS system. So we look at academics and we look at behavior data on our building and district MTSS teams, and we have a tiered system to address it. This way, the third prong of that will now be chronic absenteeism. So we're going to look at attendance data. We're going to build the capacity of our leaders, staff, and teams to support a culture of high attendance. We want actionable data, accurate, timely, weekly data that people can address with students, their attendance and absenteeism. Positive engagement. Well, we know what doesn't work. Threatening families to take them to court and all of those things don't work. And we have a whole new toolkit from our partners at Hanover Research to specifically address improving student engagement and attendance and in a more positive way. We want to have strategic partnerships and mobilize our community partners, adequate equitable resources, and shared accountability. Our Munetric system, which people can reach through our website on our transparency page, on the back side of it, staff can log in and go even deeper. And we can look at reports like this by building, by the entire district, by grade level, you name it. And we can say, okay, we have a certain number of students that are at low risk, medium risk, and high risk. And we can hone in and click and see who are those high-risk students. Who are the high-risk students that are at risk, not just for discipline, but also grades, not just discipline and grades, but also attendance, right? And so this is going to let us really, with our MTSS systems, find and address our students before it gets too far out of hand. So our next steps are to revisit our district plans. I might suggest the board even look at their strategic plan. I know it's been maybe a couple years. My KIP is continuous improvement plan, and that is going to be updated to reflect all the things we're doing to address our data and updated with our latest data as well. Our professional development plan for teachers, and we want to just integrate and align everything that we're doing. Revisiting, which we've started, as we've talked about, Jamie has been great to work with on grants and budgets, and make sure that resources are prioritized in a new and different way. We really have to let go of those things that no longer serve us well. And that's a hard ask for a lot of educators, because we're very much about tradition and values and in what we've always done. But those things that no longer serve us well, we need to be able to let go of and build on these new practices. So we want to use our existing teams to help communicate these needs. Jim and I went around the district and presented to every building all of this data, so staff are fully aware and ready to take action on these things and know that there is that urgency in need to do something to change our trajectory that's been going down. We want to continue to monitor our data in relation to the state and make sure we're closing those gaps. You know, we don't just want to meet the state average, we want to beat it. I'm a very competitive person, so I hope that you're going to see that in the next 3 years, that our data is going to be taking a different turn. And thank you. Again, the board has been amazing all year. I've come to you over and over again with some pretty big asks for money and support and passing and adopting new curriculum, and you've been amazing at doing all of that. So what questions might you have?
Okay, I have a couple. The absenteeism, do you think that bullying could possibly be playing a role in that?
I think that we have to investigate. That's part of our toolkit, is getting to know these families and what are their barriers. And if bullying is part of that, then it needs to be addressed for sure. I'm not saying it couldn't be, but it absolutely could be, but not 100%. You know, for some people it might be financial. Maybe kids have to work a job. It might be transportation.
Yeah, I'm looking at things more so that we can help them with. Like, you know, we can't, transportation, we provide buses, but like, we can't go have teachers picking up kids for school. But bullying is something that we could change to help.
Actually, we can do something about all of those things. As a principal, I went and picked kids up for school.
Okay. Well,
Probably shouldn't have, but I'll admit it. I self-admit that I pulled kids out from underneath their beds at home if I had to, because attendance is critical to improve student outcomes.
I can't ask teachers to do that. But also, with the graph, I don't know what page it was, but where you said teachers could click in through a backdoor system. It sounded like we're using a computer to find the kids that we need to interact with. Like, I feel like interacting with our students and forming relationships, in the classroom would be more beneficial than kind of
100%.
putting a target on people's backs.
Yeah. We use what we call tier 1 strategies, and that is what we do for all of our students. So if you think of it as a pyramid, the base, the large part of the pyramid is tier 1, and that's what we give all students, which is, a relationship with our educators, our positive behavior supports, our CREEK code, all the things we do for all of our kids. But then we have to strategically identify the kids that with that support still aren't making it. And so that's our tier 2 group. And we have special tier 2 supports. And then we have a third group, and that represents, research shows about 5 to 10% of your population are going to be in that tier 3 group that needs really intensive support in order to improve their outcomes.
I just feel like if teachers were like looking at their grade book or interacting with their kids, they would know, hey, you know, Susie's struggling this week or this semester or what have you, because I'm grading her homework. I'm looking at, you know, where she's scoring and how she's interacting in class every day kind of thing. So I don't get why I need a computer to tell me that, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the data, the computer data is just one piece of it. The teachers are a big part of that, and they're part of our data team meetings and their observations and reports. Our secondary teachers have 150 kids, and they see each one of them for only maybe 45 minutes. And then if someone's absent a lot, you know, they see them even less. So that's part of, you know, kids can, we hope they don't, but the truth is that sometimes kids fall through the cracks, and we want a system that doesn't let any kid fall through the cracks.
Right, yeah. That would not be ideal, but also, in the beginning, it was a trade-off between academics and school and safety of the students. Did I interpret that correctly? Like, we fell behind in academics because we were more focused on the safety of the students.
I think that during those years, the board and the administration had to make a lot of decisions about how to spend budgets and how to spend money. And a big part of that, like, you know, offering the 3 modalities to our community in order to help parents feel safe in how their kid went to school, that was a very expensive kind of choice that the district made. And in hindsight, I'm not saying it was good or bad. I think our community appreciated all of those options. But those of you that were on the board back then, you know, we had to make a lot of hard decisions and spend money in ways that we don't normally have to. Like, you know, we had to buy plexiglass shields to put in spaces, and we had to buy masks and all these things that normally aren't part of our school budget.
Most of that, Michelle, came from grant money. I'm not going to buy into that we chose safety over education. That all came from grant money. We're understaffed on our SROs. We can't even find an SRO, so there's extra money there. And we didn't hire private security, which every school district has done it. So I'm not saying it. I appreciate what you've done and the presentation you've given. And I'm glad that you're in front of it. We actually talked in May when I told you about School Digger, Niche, and a couple others. It's all good data. The reason why they come up with different school numbers is because there's 539 public schools in Michigan, and the 631 number they come up with are some of the charter schools, and not all the charter schools are complying and reporting the data. So this is still an accurate number. And I was pretty hot about it when I talked to you back in May, because we were the lowest in Genesee County. And every school district has went through COVID the same as Swartz Creek. It's not like Flushing did different, or Carmen Ainsworth, or Fenton. And everybody's school grades dipped slightly during COVID, and they've all come back to the 80th percentile bractile. I've got all the documentations here. I'm sure you went to it after I informed you about this site. And it's like, well, if that's one site, Chuck. Well, then I went to Niche, which is world-renowned, and that brings up the same data. The only thing Niche does is that it grades if the kids like the teachers, the kids don't like the teachers, friendliness of the teachers. That's the data. So I'm glad that you got in front of it, but I'm not going to call bull S. But I've been on this for the last 6 months when they said, oh, we need the money for this, this, and that. And when I look at our districts, and we're the lowest in the county next to 2 others, and I won't mention them because they're inner city schools, and I've been a proponent here of giving everybody money for everything to do with school. I've never voted no on that, ever. So why have they recovered and had the same problems that we have, and we have not? I don't think the public knows this, and somebody brought it up at the meeting on Thursday, because this data is out there. And I'm glad that you're going to get ahead of it and try to improve it. But we're at the bottom. Everybody can nod their head about, oh, we're going to do all this great stuff. But it started that you should tell everybody the real data, because in 2017, I wasn't here, they hired a new superintendent, and it did this. 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 And in 21, it went this. And then in 22, it barely went up. But all the other schools recovered. So how can Flushing, Kearsley, Fenton, Lake Fenton, Holly, I'm picking schools that aren't even like considered as, you know, I don't know if you want to call it prestigious. I don't want to use that word. But I don't buy into this because every other school has moved it up. And here's the data. And like you said, it's accurate data. I don't get it.
Yeah, no,
And I'm glad that you're going to do it, and I'm glad that Carrie's going to help you with academic achievement. But this has been happening since 17 with our district. So you can't say it's all COVID.
We got the lowest data to 2018.
I think that we have,
I've got a lot of other questions.
you know, the data
Here's
is there.
Nisha's data.
I would say, though, as far as the county, the whole entire county had a countywide meeting, and they have set a goal for the entire county because the entire county has recognized that as a county, we are not performing in the state where we need to be.
And I can't worry about the whole state. I got to worry about Swartz Creek. That's who I work for. That's what my shirt says.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I compare it to the other teams around us, Fenton, Lake Fenton, Corona, Owasso, and here it all is. So I know that you're trying, and I believe you're going to try. I believe, and I'm happy that you're going to try. But everybody's staying at 80 or 90%. And your own thing, and this shows, so what if it's a year old? Next year we'll get the data.
80 or 90%?
Here they all are. District statewide performance, average for Lake Fenton, Fenton, Goodrich, Davison, Grand Blanc. The only one that is below us is 2 inner city schools that don't even report data. Flushing took a big dip, but then they jumped back up to 75% almost. And Swartz Creek's still at 45%, like you said, below the 50%. That's embarrassing.
100%.
I've lived here, my kids have went here, all my nephews have went here, my grandkids are gonna come here. That's embarrassing. So I don't know what has to change. Absenteeism. I'm sure we're not the only district that has absenteeism. Would you say Flushing has absenteeism? Carmen Ainsworth, Grand Blanc, Fenton?
100%. All of Michigan does.
Well,
That's
then
what
why
the
are we
data
the
show.
lowest in the county? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's embarrassing. We should be embarrassed as a Board of Education. And I didn't know about this till about 9 months ago when somebody ticked me off, and I'm like, I'm going to start looking into this because I'm not good with a computer. But I got a little bit good with this part of it. Because as a policeman for 40 years, we thrive off of data. And then I went to niche because I thought, you know what? I defended our district. I said, this is all bull S. This can't be true. And then niche comes out almost with the same thing. Here's a niche. And underneath, I don't know if it's underneath our educational leadership, because I'll take a hit for it again. I'm the Board of Education. I guess I should have known about this earlier. I'm going to take responsibility, because I should have been on people a long time ago, and you can bet right now that's why I was fired up, and I know that's why you stopped me leaving the meeting in May saying, Chuck, give me 3 years, because you're probably embarrassed by these numbers too.
Yeah, well, and I would say all of our community, I would ask, visit our Nunetrics, because that presents all the state data, and it has all our financial, academic, all of our data, and it doesn't have it through a lens like, those other, like you said, niche adds in how kids feel about their teachers, which is an important measure, but at the end of the day, they can love their teachers and still not be learning what they need to learn,
Or
right?
at least they'd be coming to school, right? Like, we wouldn't have such high absenteeism.
Right, so.
Well, we
yeah,
rate
that
high
is-
on that. I'm not saying our teachers are bad teachers, but the administration has to say, you have to learn. I remember when I first started here in 2019 is when I started, and I pulled the data back to 17. And I started, and a teacher came in, and I'd been here about a year, and she says, oh, Mr. Melky, we let the kids sit on the bookcase, we let them just step outside the hall, and as long as they're reading, we're happy. And you know what? I can see that, but maybe we need a little bit more discipline to bring our grades up compared to other districts. This is like we're on a, and you said it's accurate till 2024. I agree with you. We haven't got the 2025 data. But that shows us losing in every category, except for our teacher pay was number 2 out of the county. So our teacher pay is number 2, but our grades are at the bottom of the bucket. As a business owner or somebody that buys things, you can't have 50% of your product not go out the door and you're like, product? Kids are product. We're developing their minds. We're making them learn to read and write and math. Hell, some of the kids I talk to don't even know how to use a regular clock. They're like, well, what time is it? I mean, this is insanity. And no one's going to say it. I'm going to say it. I fronted you off in May, and I'm glad that you got in front of it. And I'm going to hold you. Of course, I probably won't be here in a year after everybody I pissed off. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not here for friends. I'm here to make sure our kids are successful and that we're fiduciary responsible. And the safety thing, most of that stuff comes from grant money, SROs, all that. Am I correct, Jim, on that? And we could even hire more people because we could hire private security, which would probably eat up some of our SRO money for the elementary schools if we really want it. And whether they're advantage or disadvantage, I can understand that. Poor kids, and I'll say it, kids that are not got as much money as somebody else may not have as much to do. I understand that, or they may not eat right. But Carrie's convinced me 100 times over again 7 years ago when I first started that these kids have to eat and free food. I wasn't for that, but now I am. Everybody should eat. Everybody should have nutrition. Everybody should not be ashamed to go through the lunch line and say, gosh, I got to have free food and you don't. And I know how that picks on you because I grew up poor. My mom was a waitress and my dad was a janitor. And we had to have the little punch card when I was in school. You had to come up with $5. And some days I couldn't come up with it. But I'm not going to buy into all this stuff. We're failing. And your job, I guess, at least from my point of view, not from the other 6, I don't know what their opinion is, but you better bring it up, and it better be like lightning fast, because you can look at all those records, and I can keep pulling stuff from Michigan data, because I pulled it. That's how when Rod told me there's only this and that. No, it's all on Michigan data. I wish I would have knew about that page a few years ago, because I think I let people pull the wool over my eyes, or I've been hoodwinked. And
Andrea, you had a comment?
I do.
Yes.
When will we get the 25 data? When will we see that?
Traditionally, in the past, it's been the end of August,
So the September meeting, you could bring it to us?
100%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's still not done. What about the 3rd grade? So in 3rd grade, we should have 19 data and 20 data because COVID wasn't even around. Or the 3rd grade. I want to know what our 3rd grade class students were, what their grades were, and then when we switched during COVID and they told me that the grades were going to be better, I want to know what they are in 24, 25, because that gives us a full 3-4 years after COVID. You can't keep blaming COVID. If somebody started kindergarten in 21, by 25, we should know their data without saying it's COVID.
Well, I didn't break out the data tonight. I can certainly get that to you.
Do you know it, though? Give me a hint.
Well, it looks, that was the district average. It's down. And each grade is down. There isn't one grade that stands out and says, oh, they're bouncing back, like 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever.
So what I was told is not entirely true then. I was told that if we switched this modem from K through 5 to K through 2 and then 3, 4, 5, the grades would be better. And not only that, Chuck, because everyone knows I'm a fiduciary responsible, you're going to save $500,000 a year to put into something else.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you how I feel back here when I'm hearing all this every month.
They should have bounced back better, I guess? Is that what you're saying? Is that they should have bounced back?
Well, our third grade kids' grades technically should be higher than what the 2019-2020 is. Because I could see some kids failing during that COVID part, but we're starting out with a fresh group in 21. When COVID was done, we started out there. So I should have that data now for the 2nd and 3rd graders, where they're at compared to the 2nd and 3rd graders before COVID.
I got you.
And I just want that answer. I'll eat crow. I'll eat it. It's my fault.
No,
Andrea, you had other questions?
I think, Mr. Melky, that as far as the prediction that the reconfiguration was going to dramatically improve our scores has not panned out. I mean, it has not happened that way.
And that's
I
okay.
can't argue that with you.
Thank you for being, well, I'm not saying it was anybody's, it wasn't Jim's, it wasn't, it was a former superintendent and the deputy that said, this will work. It was Ben, but Rod was deputy superintendent. And they pushed this modem on me and they said this would work. And I'm like, man, I don't want to break up a second grader and a fourth grader that are brothers and sisters. That was my idea, because my kids went to Cyrene, and they walked hand in hand, and it was a beautiful thing. They protected each other. And I'm like, I'm really against this, but if it helps the children, okay, but I still voted no. Because I didn't believe it. And I want to know when we're going to switch back K through 5, regular schools. Go ahead. I'm
Andrea,
sorry,
did you
Carrie,
have-
let somebody else talk.
Did you have other questions? Okay, I saw questions down here.
I just have a really quick question on this school digger information. I'm just a little confused at where it says like primary schools, middle schools, and high schools, because I'm looking at like Carmen Answorth, it has 4 high schools, and I know they don't. And then Davison, it says 2 high schools, and they only have 1. So I don't know if this data could be
Right.
skewed or what, but maybe I'm reading.
They do, and some of their high schools are counted underneath virtual learning, I learned after digging into it. So a lot of the high schools that they use, Alyssa.
That's what I need.
They'll consider their school of choice virtual learning a what? A separate what? High school.
High school.
So I didn't go, I couldn't go 100% and we all have jobs, but I did,
Get that.
I'm not gonna give you bogus hard
That's the
data.
question I
Yeah.
had. No.
And some of the stuff is wrong, you're right, because they have a couple of things in there that aren't right, but they don't pick the teachers and how much the kids like them and all this stuff, which Niche does. So I compared Niche to them. Then I went to Michigan Data, and then I went to US News, because US News runs its own hub, and US News runs a hub. So I've got 4 things, and they're all kind of matching the same thing, and they're still rating our school not at the same numbers, because they're using a little bit different data, but it's really close. And as a Board of Education, you guys I should be popping right now saying, oh boy.
I guess I would be curious to hear from our staff, not this moment, but the staff at the K through 5 buildings, to find out, they're the ones that see it day in, day out. I know some of them weren't keen on the plan, but I've personally had some come to me and say they didn't love it. Now they like it because they like the bigger groups. So maybe we need to explore that option, not just from the grades and where our kids at, but also explore that from the
I mean,
teacher's
I think we-
perspective as well.
A lot of the
We could all
teachers
say I talked to staff and they didn't, and they say they don't like it.
they were
So
afraid
that
to
does-
tell
that doesn't
the
make a
upper
difference.
administration. That's what I've been told. They were afraid to tell most of the upper administration because they didn't want to be singled out. Now, that's only 6 or 7 teachers I talked to. I didn't talk to all, I think there was 95 or 100 K through 5 teachers, but the ones I talked to said, please don't repeat this, Mr. Melky. I don't want to do it. I don't think it's good for the district. But at the end of the day, it's not, I'm just saying, they said it wasn't good for the district to switch over. People are against change. I get it. I want you in the next month, if you can give us some hard data, so we can make a educated decision up here, because you just said it's not going well.
If I might, I'm going to give you all the data that you would like. I would love to do that. I think that your point earlier was very true. I can't say it was all the fault of the pandemic that our scores went down.
I need those sheets
And
back.
at the same time, I don't think we can say that the reconfiguration, going back to K-5 is all of a sudden going to bring us back up. It's way more complex than that. You and I both know that, right? And so that's a whole separate issue for the board to get into and research and look at, what we want to do there and how that would affect things. I don't really have an opinion at this time on
Here-
that, but.
I'm sorry, go ahead. How about a really hard question? School of choice probably affects this. Does it or does it not? I don't know. I probably shouldn't even say that. But you know what? I'm gonna pull the sheet down. We have almost 1/3, check that, 28% of our children come from outside of our district. Does that affect our district, do you think, in your professional opinion as curriculum director?
We have run the data, I know in the past, the district has run that data for board members. We haven't done it in a while. I would have to disaggregate that data because it doesn't show up on any kind of normal report. So I don't have it at my
Okay,
fingertips.
thank you. Thanks for being honest. In 6 years, they did not give us that data. They did give us data, and maybe you're getting it confused, is that myself and Jack Sayre were worried about disciplinary hearings.
Oh, okay.
And the disciplinary hearings that they gave us, because we wanted to know, and Jim, you were here sitting right next to me, and they were very, I hope, up and up. They said that the disciplinary hearings were almost the same. It was a 1% difference from out district versus in district. So if we had 50 kids that got in trouble here and 40 kids that got in trouble here, percentage-wise, it was the same if you take the actual number, so a per capita rating.
But Chuck, that wouldn't be the same. Because if only 25% of your population.
No, but they did it per capita.
He did correct himself.
Yeah, I
down
did
there.
correct it, yeah, yeah.
But to piggyback on what you're saying with the school of choice, I do think that is a factor.
It may be.
And the question I asked back in 2016, and I never could get from Hall or Menka, is I asked for you to take a child that started at our district in kindergarten and take them to they were a senior. And then I wanted you to take a school of choice kid that came in 4th grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Did we improve that? Never could get that data. Are we doing better with those children? Where were they at when they came here? Maybe they came here and got worse. But we never could get that data because I don't think anyone wanted to answer that question. And to come back to what piggyback on Chuck said, I wrote these notes while you were talking, not while he was talking.
Okay.
But same thing I said, when you watched one of your first slides, at 2017, 16, we were above the line. In 2017, we dipped below it. As a very matter of fact, a new superintendent came here with a new assistant superintendent that drove a curriculum that obviously failed because that line was plummeting in 17, 18, and 19, and 20. And COVID didn't start till March of 20. So we got through the whole school year. I would say COVID was probably more of a problem in 21 than it was in 20. Nobody had COVID in 20, but we like to go back to 20 because it gives us a free year. March 16th is when everyone went home. So you were almost done with the school year. Another thing, when you talk about attendance, in 20 or 21, the ISD took over all the truancy. ISD is a total failure with that. A total failure. All they're doing is making money on it, and all we do is we ship names over there, and nothing's done with it. I watched it at Linden as the school resource officer. We would ship it over there. You never heard a thing about it. They have truancy in Linden, too. You don't hear anything back. That is a total failure, and every superintendent in this county should go after the ISD for it and bring it back to their own building. You have an attendance policy in your handbook you don't even follow. There's consequences for not coming to school, but you don't follow the handbook. I do believe the poverty thing. You know, you talked about community involvement. Well, let's go to community involvement. 28% of the children that attend this district don't live here. How can their parents be involved in community stuff when they don't live here? That's a problem. A quarter of your students do not reside in this community. How many of those people come here and spend time? Those are your words, not mine. You know, and when you talked about ACT or SAT, I think right now we're doing ACT. What are those scores? We can compare those scores from one district to another, so you can still get 11th grade testing.
Oh, yeah. Our Metrics data is there. I'm just saying that the Harvard-Stanford study didn't include high school.
I understand it, but we can.
Yeah, we have.
Just like when I was on the board back in 16, I asked for that school of choice data. I wanted to manipulate it where either we looked really good or really bad. But when you don't get the data, because I don't think anyone wanted you to have the data, it's a problem. And you know, there's, I mean, like, I'll piggyback on what Chuck said. What about those kids that started in 2021? They were behind the 8 ball. They had not experienced anything in COVID. I take that back, 2022. But again, they all went through it together. There's some changes, and it is. It's why I removed my child from this district and took her to Linden, because the writing was on the wall. After fourth grade, I took her to Linden. There's a problem here. And no one wants to talk about it. As Ross Perot said, it's like the crazy.
I'm here talking about it.
You're here because you don't have a choice. We got so much mud on our face, we don't know what to do with ourselves. As Ross Perot said, it's like the crazy ant in the closet. Everyone knows she's there, but no one wants to talk about her. Well, we're talking about it, but what are we doing really to fix it? And I'm not gonna minimize all your ideas and everything, but I mean, do I dare say, how many years ago was it Common Core math was gonna solve all the math problem? Don't think that worked. So, you know, what I learned in education from sending 6 kids through school, myself, being on a school board, working at 2 different schools, you know what I find? School districts, every single one of them, they love the newest idea. It's gonna solve the problem. We could probably just get some books out and start teaching kids to read and start doing math. Like you learned it, like I learned it, like everybody out there learned it. I mean, I bet we got people out there from 70 to whatever, 40. Oh, no, there's one real young person out there, I apologize. But I mean, my point being is, these things, and another thing that we jumped on board with that probably took time away, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but again, right about the time I left the board in 18, we were gonna reinvent the wheel with STEAM and STEM. Well, how much time did that take away from learning to read and to do math? I don't say those are bad ideas, but what did they take away? You know, we need to focus on what we're being tested on. No one tests you on STEAM and STEM. There's not one data point that you brought up there that showed how someone could, you know, build something with a Rector set and Legos.
Michelle, sorry about all this, but now you got a lot of tasks.
This isn't an attack on you. It's an attack on us in this district.
Believe me,
It's us.
I completely understand, and I don't feel personally attacked at all. I again just really appreciate that we're getting fired up about this, because I'm fired up about this, and we need to get going.
Yeah, but we've had a six-year downturn, 7-year, since 18. This is 2025, and like I said, I defer academic achievement to somebody else. And Carrie's been very innovative where she wants to come up with new things for the teachers. And I've always been in support of that, anything to do for the kids. Well, all the board members have. I don't think anybody's ever said, oh, no, we're not going to buy them. Yeah, you know, I mean, poor Travis back there comes every month and wants some freaking gizmo. And what do we all do? Oh, man, it's going to help the kids. But now we're seeing the data, or at least I did it, and I exposed it. And I'm not doing it to embarrass anybody. I'm embarrassed. Because I'm the board of what? I'm one of 7 people, and I'm looking at it thinking, this is not acceptable. So you and Jim have a lot to do, and Dave does, because I don't think a lot of people on this board, we're going to want results. Mm-hmm. And 100%. You tell us how to help, but Ken's right. Doing all this fluff is all fluff. We need reading, writing, math work.
Which is why I asked that we revisit, for example, the strategic plan and things like that, and align and make sure that we are really focusing in and dialing in tightly. Another thing that has happened in the past, and, you know, this is just the way it was always done. We'd bring in a new reading program, for example, or a new whatever program, math, whatever. And the company would give us professional development, which was not professional development. It was more like walking teachers through the table of contents and here's what's in your box and good luck, you know. Or once tech started getting added, we got a little bit of tech training on how to access their system. But there wasn't a lot of training. And so all the new programs that I have asked you to endorse and to approve involve extreme amounts of training, not just one, all through the year. In fact, you're probably going to hear some teachers complaining, like every week we're in training, all the time we're in training. Yes, we're in training. And we're having teacher labs, and we're visiting other classrooms and other schools and other districts. Yes. And our classrooms are being visited and walked through, and our coaches are coming in. Yes, all of this is to support our educators who want to do the very best job possible. No one comes in, and I've said that all along. When I went to every school and I presented all this data and I talked about how urgent the need is, I said, I know teachers. I'm in the trenches with you. I'm in the school buildings every day. No one is sitting there saying, how can I do a lousy job today? No one's sitting there trying to do the least amount. They put their heart and soul into everything that they do, and they work so hard. And we need to give them a very clear path. We need to clear their path of all the extra and all the garbage and all the pet projects and people wanting to creep in and have all this, like you said, extra. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and the community and other people are always wanting to come in and get access to our kids. They really are. And they're all good-intended, good-hearted people. We hear financial education. We need to do more with our kids on, and so on. But that needs to be worked into our math programs and not an extra layer added on that takes time away.
If you learn math, you learn numbers.
Right.
The checkbook figures out. Nobody should have to have a check registry and say, oh, this is the way I do it, or debit my card. We didn't have any of that in school. There was math, reading, writing, science, geography, political science.
So all of that to say,
Yes.
none
I'm
of
with her.
this,
He's got a tall task.
we don't want our Swartz Creek staff and all of our new teachers hiring in. Hello. We don't want
This
anyone.
is the first time it's been this deep, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I mean, it's pretty deep today, so I think we've all had it, some of us.
We don't want anyone
Nobody's leaving.
thinking that we don't appreciate what our staff and our teachers do for this district and our students, because we know they do so much and work so hard. And we know that given all the right supports and the proper implementation plan and the proper coaching and training plan, they're going to do amazing things. So.
Good.
Just to be clear, I don't think it's the staff.
No.
I think it's the curriculum that's been driven down to the staff from the top. That's my view on it. Teachers have been teaching everything they've been given to teach.
Right.
And like we said, when you looked at 2016, we were above the red line, and then we went below it in 17. One thing happened in 17, and it continued to go down. And the very person, and I don't like to finger point. This is really going to think I'm harsh, and I'm sure someone will hear run back and tattle, and I really don't care.
It's on TV, Ken. Go right ahead.
Go ahead. But the bottom line is this. The person that was the assistant superintendent under the one became the superintendent. He kept doing the same thing.
Look, we're a fresh new board right now. Look at all this new blood. Well,
I mean, poor Jim's sitting down there going, why think I'm the assistant superintendent under the other guy? And it's not directed at you, Jim.
It's not. It's a philosophy.
But the bottom line is, in 2017, that's what happened. And COVID was nowhere in sight. No one knew about a virus or anything else. They didn't know about it in 18. They didn't know about it in 19.
Here's the stats.
So good luck. And I've always been very fond of you. I've told you that over the years. So I wish you the best, but don't take it that we're, not me anyway. I think the only two that's really ran their mouth is Chuck and I. It's not blaming the staff.
It's not the staff.
Okay.
So, Michelle, we've had a lot of questions. I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to count this as a commercial for folks to come to academic achievement.
100%.
Because often I might be the only person sitting there, and I am geeked out over all of the data and the programs. And Michelle, you are such a talented curricular resource and expert. And we are very blessed to have you. I know you've been here for 30 years, I believe, or close to that. It's a joy to work with you. You're very intuitive. And as I've shared with some of my fellow board members who are not there sometimes for the whole board, the academic meeting, it's just a pleasure to watch you and your teams identify opportunities. You don't always go right into, let's purchase this. You pilot quite often, and you get feedback from the teachers. You see how it's working. You measure the impact of it fully before you come before us to say, let's invest. And I've been watching over the last year just the web being woven, that you're pulling all of these programs together and you're pulling the right people together. I'm getting nods out there amongst some of the staff, pulling people together who are the experts and are in front of our students every day, and with a commitment to making sure it's working and evaluating it along the way, and asking us to approve the purchase of curricular tools that make sense and that will make a difference for our students. And I appreciate your leadership. It's really remarkable to work with you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
My heart and soul is in Creek. Anyone that knows me knows that, and I'm here for the kids and the staff, and anything I can do. And like I said, if we can move academic achievement to the evenings and pack this house out, I would love that. So
Okay, thank you once again.
Michelle,
Appreciate it.
Michelle, thank you for taking the hard questions.
no problem.
Yeah, and once again, I'm speaking for myself. I'm always going to support you if you need a tool to make these kids better. But I've been doing it for 6 years, and I've showed you the statistical data, and that's why me and you had that lengthy conversation. It was actually in May. So go to it. You got the football.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, moving on.
Can we take a break?
Oh, yes. Let's take a 7-minute break. That might work for our board. Okay, thanks. We will call the meeting back to order. Thank you for your patience with our needing a break up here. So, moving on. Thank you for the discussion, everyone, and your interest in academic achievement, which is, I think, why we're all here. So, thank you for the questions and the discussion. Moving forward, we have several board action items, beginning with our SCEA employment. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kitchen so that he can introduce our folks.
All right, this time I'd like to call Ms. Briggs up and bring Taina. We're very happy about the caliber of teacher we're bringing to you tonight. Once again, we have about 5, and we're going to start off with Taina.
Good evening. My name is Heather Briggs. I'm principal at Deke Elementary. It's my pleasure to recommend Ms. Taina Neely for hire as a 3rd grade teacher at Deke Elementary. She completed her student teaching at Elms Road Elementary and graduated in May with her bachelor's in elementary education from the University of Michigan Flint. She brings with her a strong academic record, diverse classroom experiences across multiple grade levels, and a commitment to inclusive, engaging instruction that makes a promising addition to our team at Deke Elementary and Swartz Creek Community Schools.
Thank you, ma'am. Taina, tell us about yourself, please.
Well, I'm 23 years old. I just graduated from the University of Michigan Flint of May of 2025 with the Distinguished Scholar Award. And that's because I didn't just go to school and did my studies. I was involved as well. So I volunteered at the school inclusive Halloween events. I try to get myself into the community as much as possible. I love learning. I love helping kids learn, which is why I feel like it was great being a teacher. I have 7 siblings, so my mom let me play teacher as a kid in the living room every Sunday. I would teach the family. And it's quite different in the classroom with 24, 27 kids, but it's amazing.
Thank you. And I'll ask you the question that I'll ask all of our candidates tonight. Why did you choose Swartz Creek?
Well, I've did field work in many different districts, but when I stepped foot into Swartz Creek District, I felt welcome from the very beginning. I felt a part of the team. My opinion mattered, even though I wasn't considered a real employee. I felt like I was without the pay. You couldn't tell me no different. I planned things as well, and I just really, truly felt a part of the family. Everyone I have met in this district has made me feel a part of the team, and that's somewhere I want to work long term, where I'm part of the family, where I'm not scared to be involved or give my all and try my best.
Thank you very much. Great to hear that. Thank you. Any questions for Taina?
I make a motion, we hire Taina.
I
immediately.
second that.
She's a very articulated young woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But you just heard all the conversation we had about education.
She's staying.
So take that to heart, young lady. Okay, thank you.
It's okay, I gave her the pep talk.
Yeah, okay, you're good. Yeah, I just felt bad because we got, more active than normal.
You have great people around you, too. As a new teacher, a new educator, you have great resources within the district. So I'm glad you chose Swartz Creek.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did
All
you guys
right.
my second?
Yes, I did. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Taina Neely, 3rd grade teacher at Deke Elementary, as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Autumn Henry,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Ken Engel,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
7 yes.
7, the motion passes. Welcome.
It's kind of like that last week. I'm looking, I mean, we don't want to take everybody's hand. Last week when Ken.
Hey, congratulations. No. Well, Jessica used to grease up our hands.
This time, I'd like to call Miss Hart up. She's representing the high school tonight, and bring Emily Callis up to the podium.
Good evening. I am Amy Hart, and I get to introduce to you today Miss Emily Callis. She's replacing Mrs. Maynor, who is going to the middle school to teach physical education. We are thrilled to introduce Emily Callis to the Swartz Creek High School team as our top candidate for the open English position at the high school. Emily brings with her 15 years of teaching experience across grades 6 through 12. Having taught in both rural and inner-city school settings, her diverse background has equipped her with a deep understanding of student needs and flexible compassion approaching to teaching. Emily comes to us with a wealth of knowledge in MTSS, our multi-tiered systems of support, building strong student relationships, and of course, her content area of English. Her expertise and dedication to student growth make her an exciting addition to the English department at the Swartz Creek High School. Sorry, I'm reading her thing.
Hello, Emily.
Hi.
You have an opportunity to tell us about yourself, please.
Well, I'm Emily Callis. I live in Davison. I brought my daughters and my husband. I'm really excited. I have been teaching for 15 years, always English. I taught middle school for 6 years and moved back up to teach high school this past school year. So I'm really excited to be back in the high school realm.
So why did you choose Swartz Creek?
I chose Swartz Creek because you guys have such a tight-knit community, and that's something that I really value. And I think obviously everyone here wants our youth to be successful, and I align with that, so.
So before I entertain a motion for your approval, or I guess I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Chuck? Alyssa? Any comments or questions? I'd like to invite your sweet daughters up here. They've been so patient. And if they can come up and stand by Mom? And Dad, if you want to get pictures, that's fine too. We know this is a special time for your family.
Look at Dad. Take it from up here and you go with her?
You can scooch this way if you want. There we go. Perfect. Just perfect. Oh, my gosh. And with that, Sue, would you do roll call, please?
Ken Engel,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Autumn Henry,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard.
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Andrea Fig.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Yeah. Megan Bleck?
Yeah,
Come on up
they
and
have
join us at the
3.
podium.
We're supposed to have 2. All right, and then this is Megan Black. She's replacing Joe Spencer, who left the high school to go to the middle school as an assistant principal. We are excited to officially introduce Megan Black to the board to be considered as our new social studies position at the high school. Megan is no stranger to our halls. She completed her student teaching right here at Swartz Creek High School and stepped in seamlessly last year as long-term substitute for Mr. Spencer during the transition to the middle school as assistant principal. Beyond the classroom, Megan has already made a strong impact in our school community by coaching our robotics team and most recently assisting with girls tennis. Her commitment, energy, and passion for education have already made her a valued member of the Dragon community.
Welcome, Megan. Can you tell us about yourself?
So I'm actually like a lifelong Dragon. I went to Swartz Creek for my K through 12 public education. And then in 2018, I actually started subbing again through EduStaff, and Swartz Creek was one of my 5 districts that I chose, and it was one of my top districts besides like Carmen. It was also proximity-wise, but also because the students were just really respectful comparatively to maybe some other districts surrounding us, to a substitute specifically. And since I've been a lifelong Dragon, it was awesome first that U of M Flint and Swartz Creek allowed me to do my student teaching here, and then it's been great knowing or kind of getting to transition into the role a little bit preemptively, and just kind of reassured me that I loved going here as a student, and I think I'm going to really love teaching here too.
So I asked the question, why did you choose Swartz Creek? You may have answered it, but...
It's always felt like home. I mean, I have worked in other districts. I've worked in the Flint School District. I've worked in Detroit schools too, and kind of with all that different experience, I was always kind of led back here. I actually have my master's in education because I was swayed a little bit from the path from a lot of different people kind of pressuring me and saying like, hey, you know, teaching's great, but have you thought about other things? And I was constantly called back to the classroom. And then so it was either 2021 or 2022, Wanda actually called me up and asked me to be a premier for the district. And she was like, I can't hire you. You have to like talk to somebody else. But she was like, I would love for you to come work for us. And I was like, I would love to. And I actually left another job to come be a premier here.
I know she's smiling down on you.
No, she would be so excited.
What year did you graduate?
2015. So recent.
Love it when
like,
an alumni
too
comes
recent.
back to work here.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions?
I move that we hire her immediately.
I second that.
She's alumni, right?
Any comments or questions? Be it resolved, and I apologize, I don't think I read the proposal for Ms. Callis. Maybe I did. We were enjoying the children. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Megan Black, social studies teacher at Swartz Creek High School as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Autumn Henry.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Ken Engel,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Megan.
All right, if we could have Catherine Wood, please come to the
Oh, you're
podium.
Catherine Wood.
Young lady.
I didn't vote yet.
Who's giving her the job? Oh.
All right, so now we have Miss Catherine Wood. She is replacing Mr. Elder, who retired last March. We are excited to introduce Catherine Wood as the top candidate for our science opening at the high school. Catherine joins us with 11 years of teaching experience, most recently at Bendel Middle School, and brings a strong background in both biology and physical science. Her passion for both her subject and her students truly set her apart during the interview, making her a clear choice to fill the science vacancy at the high school. Catherine's enthusiasm, dedication, and commitment to student success will be a great addition to our team and a tremendous asset to the school community.
Catherine, welcome. If you'd like to tell us about yourself.
So I'm Catherine Wood. I have 2 little children that I did not bring because they're monsters.
Photoshop.
I've been teaching for a while now, but I've always taught science. I love teaching science. I was one of those people who wasn't actually very successful in science in school, and I gained a love for it in college. And ever since, I've wanted to be that person that gets kids involved in science in a way that they actually enjoy, so they get into it a little bit earlier than I did. I have been at middle school level for a long time, and when I had first started teaching, I did teach some high school biology sections as well. So coming back into a high school, I'm very excited to be here.
Again, you have a great team around you at the high school, lots of great resources, and the district. So why did you choose Swartz Creek?
I have a lot of friends and acquaintances in the community, a lot of which are alumni, and they had nothing but great things to say about the district, so I was excited to have that opportunity.
Thank you. All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for.
So moved.
Chuck and Andrea?
I'll support that one. Got it.
I've been doing it for 7 years straight. Yeah, yeah. That's the only thing I do first every time. For 7 years, I always make the motion.
Oh, we're going to fight over it now. See? We want to hire folks so badly. All right. Any comments or questions? I don't hear any. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Catherine Wood, science teacher at Swartz Creek High School as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Ken Engel,
Yes.
Autumn Henry,
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard,
Yes.
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
No. I'm only joking, yes.
He made me hard as hell.
I voted for everybody for 7 years.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Yeah, I saw, I probably just.
Function when you get down there.
All right, if we could please have Kelly Robertson come up to the podium, and Mr. Simonson is going to give her the introduction.
Well, good evening. Pleased to present to you Kelly Robertson. Kelly is not new to our staff. She's been with us, is it 6 years or 7?
I started in 18, the board made a wise choice to hire me.
Yeah, she's not shy. She's not shy. But no, Kelly, I met her a couple years ago when I came back to the middle school. I had met her previously, but I worked very closely with her over the last 2 years. She's been our middle school literacy coach. Kelly is very, very approachable, but she also works like really well with pretty much everybody, and I'm always skeptical about that. I mean, as a building coach, as a literacy coach in stuff, you gotta make relationships with everybody, and Kelly does that. Bar none, everybody can talk to Kelly. She's got a couple of statements that she makes that I can't remember at the top of my head, but I mean, basically everybody's friends with Kelly. But
I'm a celebrity.
She makes inroads where they need to be made to work with people. I've seen her be a leader in that respect, getting in and talking with people that struggle to talk with others, that struggle to open up about their practice of teaching. So I know she's going to be a great leader. She also did the Aspiring Leaders cohort, I believe 2 years ago, with Jim and Rod and with Josh Atwood and I think Joe Spencer was in that one as well. So she has put herself in those positions to be a strong leader, interviewed very well in a group of people that interviewed for that job. So we're happy to present her to you, and I think she'll do a great job as the VLC director.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Or still.
I watch these meetings, that's why I was waving to the camera.
So feel free to tell us about yourself, but you can also in that answer why you came to Swartz Creek to begin with.
Well, there's so much to tell. I made a presentation, and I almost shared it with Travis, so it could be up there. But there's tons of things to explore. I have brought all my kids, which you probably have heard. They did go to McDonald's a little bit and got a small fry, but came back to see this moment. So I'm really appreciative that they're able to be here to see this. About me, I've taught since 2008, and I decided to come to Creek in 18 for many different reasons, and I haven't been disappointed. The data that you saw today, I am so excited to be part of the data moving forward. I've said, and I've emailed Mr. Kitchen even when I was in the classroom, that our kids are smarter than our data shows, and there's just some obstacles, and we need to explore those obstacles, and we will get there. But again, I'm Kelly Robertson. You can ask me anything. I'm super excited for the opportunity, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, but I think your kids should come up.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
mean, what's fair? I mean,
Well, I told them if they weren't grumpy.
Well,
they
hold on. Yep. Yep, keep the kids there, yeah. I do have one question.
Yeah,
This is
go
just, what are you gonna, because this is a leadership role, what are you gonna change at the Virtual Learning Center to help those children better succeed?
Well,
What's your goal? Because everybody has a personal goal as a director.
So my personal goal, actually, when I spoke in the interview, was about the data. I really am a data geek, as well as Michelle coined that phrase earlier today, that looking at it and seeing what the obstacles are and then moving forward. You have to build relationships, which I know you mentioned earlier, one-on-one, so looking at different interests and what they need. And in my interview, I even said, if some of our students need things like making sure to change a tire, I don't know how to change a tire, but maybe that's like a field trip that the person comes and teaches them how to. So I'm not for sure the interest of all the students there yet because I haven't been able to build the relationships yet. But I've been there already and met 3 of the teachers, and the secretary was not there at that time, but I have an appointment with her on Thursday, so I'll just have to dive in and look.
Thank you. So move that we hire.
Thank you. Do I have support? Thank you, Alyssa. So I'm going to ask the kids to come up. Dad, if you want to come up too? Just like we did. So thank you for being here to support your mom. Thank you. All right. No comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves Kelly Robertson as the Director of the Virtual Learning Center as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Chuck Melkey?
Yes.
Ken Engel?
Yes.
Autumn Henry?
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard?
Yes.
Kim Winter?
Yes.
Andrea Fick?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Okay. Feel free, anyone who we've just had up here, if you would like to go elsewhere. I know you've already gone to McDonald's, but. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have the annual approval of the Swartz Creek Community Schools student handbooks. And are there any questions or before we proceed to a vote?
We're approving all three at the same time? With one resolution?
Yes.
Did we change anything of the restorative practices to make it proactive versus disciplinary action? I know I met with Michelle and we talked about it. She said, well, I mean, she just kind of walked me through what exactly it was and stated that it was required by the state to be in our handbook, but.
I mean, tardies are addressed, which I'm a huge fan of.
Well, that was for restorative practices I asked for. As being a form of discipline versus, or I mean, it is a form of discipline, and I think it would be, I mean, that's just me, but I think its intended purpose was to be used as proactive resolution.
It's been a while. Autumn met with me. We talked for hours about restorative practices, and it is used proactively. The state requires that in any discipline, we consider restorative practices as a consequence versus suspension. That doesn't mean we can't suspend, but we have to have it in the handbook that we consider restorative practices. And
As a form of discipline.
As a form of discipline.
Not a first step, like.
And again, it's just consider. It doesn't mean that we can't make the decision to go ahead and suspend, but there's 7 factors that we have to look at, like the number of discipline issues that child's had previously. You know, there's a whole list of factors we have to consider, and restorative practices is one of them.
Right. Yeah, I just thought we talked about it being better off used as proactive.
My personal opinion, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it had to be in there. It didn't have to necessarily be as a disciplinary action.
It has to be part of what we consider, if that makes sense. I'm not looking at what you're looking at, so I don't know how it's written.
Oh, I'm not looking at it. But, yeah.
All right.
Okay. And the other one was the VLC. I've asked at the beginning of the year, and it was said that it was going to be brought up in the handbook, when we reviewed the handbook, for their ability to participate in athletics.
Yes, and that decision's already been made for this year. That happens in January, February.
Well, when I asked in January and February, you told me that we would talk about it during the handbook.
Did I tell you that, or Rod?
Rod.
Yeah.
So I got lied to.
No.
Sweet.
No, this is the question of whether students who attend VLC can participate in the sport
Yeah, and I
program.
asked, and they said bring it up when we discuss the handbook, so you're telling me now that I made that decision in January?
Yeah, for this year, it's been made.
There should be 2 counts a year.
Any other questions?
Can you tell me where it says that?
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
That they can or cannot play?
Yeah, can you tell me where it says that?
In the handbook?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can.
so it is in the handbook.
I can.
So we could, so it hasn't been added.
I can definitely get that to you, but I don't have it offhand.
Okay, well, if it's in the handbook and we're voting on the handbook and it hasn't been added to the handbook, then how are you saying that we made that choice in January, February?
That decision is made through with MHSAA. We have to tell them our enrollment, and that's when it's made.
But for the next head count, you could change it in your handbook now for the next head count.
So if you're a VLC student, you can't play sports at the high school because you're not a high school.
But what happens if the VLC
Attendee.
student chose to go there and it's not there for any, I'm asking for, because I know there's supposed to be a question, I'm confused
you're
on
right.
it now.
You're right. Well,
So what do they can't play, but I decided to send my son to VLC.
Yeah.
Or he wants to go to there because he's being bullied. I don't know. Whatever.
We've worked out a way for those athletes who want to play where they can take Michigan virtual classes at the high school. We work with them individually, so that is able.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask you not to
Did we go
speak.
forward with
Thank
that
you.
program?
It can absolutely happen. Our
Yes.
counselors just have to be told to sign a student up for Michigan virtual, and they can stay and play and be online. Yes.
Where does it say that?
It's not written in the handbook.
Where,
Should it be?
Where's-
I'm just asking.
We can definitely add it, yeah.
Well, then, I'm trying to be fair here.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you're saying we can do it, but.
Yes.
But it's not in the handbook, written.
Right.
We make that choice when we make the determination in January, which was done earlier this year.
But why didn't we put it in writing, Carrie? That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to be a pain. I'm just asking that if Jim's saying we can do it, but it's not in the handbook, then where does a parent have an argument to go if we say, well, it's not in the handbook, have a nice day? I'm just asking that question. If I was a parent out there right now, is there a way we can change that?
Yes.
That's not true. You
So,
can't do that. They never
in-
adopted it into the high school. They wanted to,
in
but they
s-
never did.
Pam, I'm only going to ask you one more time, and then I'll ask you to leave, okay?
Another member come to the podium and speak, and you won't let her say a few words?
We're having a conversation. This is a public meeting of our board. I just don't want any interruptions. There will be an opportunity for people to give public comment.
Because I get told to bring it up now, so I wait my turn. And then, but I was lied to, so we gotta have fact checkers out there, I guess, because
So what would we add in the
How
handbook?
else am I gonna
That
know what's coming out of your mouth is
students could,
true?
in lieu of going to VLC, they could go
We can-
online?
Absolutely, we can do that, yeah.
Okay, so can we pass this? Why is that, Ken? If we add this amendment now, or you tell me, go ahead, go.
yeah.
Okay.
Here's my disconnect.
That's good.
Going to the story, years ago, there was a student that did exactly what someone said.
Turn your mic on so they can hear you.
Sorry. Years ago, there was a student that did exactly that, went there in lieu of being in high school.
Okay.
And because they graduated early, they could not participate in the spring sport.
Oh.
So that's also a factor. So my point, and my biggest point to this is the handbook, you have to remember, it is a board policy. So if it's not in there, then it doesn't exist. And that, so no, I would, and it's not like we're sending this thing to a printing press. It's almost done electronically. So whether we do it this meeting or another one, it really doesn't matter.
Is there, okay, I'm good with that. That's a great explanation. Do we, Carrie, is there a time frame that this has to be instituted?
Go ahead, Jim.
We can actually do this at the next board meeting.
Why don't we do that then? I think that's good discussion. I don't like having something that's not in there that you say, well, we can change it, because some of the public is gonna be like, well, it was never put in there, so how do we prove it if
That's
That's
just
all.
one
So,
example.
I don't want to vote it down.
There's other
I just
things
want to
that we're
maybe,
missing. We need-
Okay,
Ken, what other
so-
changes did you see in there that we?
Thank you, Chuck. So what I'm going to ask the board to do is to collect their questions. Okay, Jim, we have until, we can wait until the 13th
Yes,
of
that-
August.
that'll give us a week.
Okay, school starts a week later. Collect the questions that you have and forward them to Sue or you?
Yes.
Okay. And then they can do the research and any updates that have to take place and then bring it back to the board on the 13th.
So we're just doing a delay then. That's it. That's
Right.
perfect.
Does anybody else have any questions right now that we need to consider?
Well, we should bring those up or email them to Jim, like you said. I
Yes.
agree with that 100%.
Yes.
So we need a motion that we're moving this to the next.
I'll make a motion that we delay it till the next meeting so people can put their input in there and put in the writing that they need to ensure that the parents are not just going by, well, we said this. I think that's a good,
I second
good
that.
thing. Thank
I
you.
support.
Thank you. And what is the date that you would need that by so that changes could be made?
If we can vote on that at the August board meeting,
Okay.
it'll give us a week before.
But what time, when do you want the questions so you can organize it?
As
and-
soon as possible, if we
Okay.
could, if, take a week to
Okay.
collect, that would be great.
Okay. Okay. Everybody have that? And Sue, if you could do a reminder to everybody that we're looking for questions, if any. Okay? All right, thank you. Next, we can move on to the approval of our Chromebook purchases.
Probably not the best night to bring the gizmos.
The gizmos, the trinkets. I'm sorry, Travis, I gotta mess with you.
But we've gone through the summer repair list, through the middle school, through the high school. There's a lot of repairs that need to be done and broken Chromebooks. So before we splurge on the bond, I want to make sure that we get the most use out of the lifespan of the devices we have. But this is just to get us by for this year. So there will be more purchases next year. Obviously, we have a fleet of Chromebooks for teachers that is going to have to come out. But the biggest thing here is the Chromebooks and just the desktops to get going. I want to talk about the desktops for a second. Our teachers all have a desktop in their classroom. We've really extended the life out of those by replacing the hard drives with solid-state hard drives, increasing the RAM. But we're at the point now where Windows 10 is end of life in October, and we just really need to start making a move. So luckily, we have the bond money. We're going to need another 100 desktops, but this is going to get us going for this year. And I don't like to buy too many because then they sit on the shelf, and then the warranty starts as soon as you buy them. So this is really just to get us by, fill some carts. And this is the first purchase out of the bond for instructional technology.
And it's coming out of, you already said the funds, how much again?
$85,000 for the Chromebooks and $79,000 for the desktop purchases.
And you talked about this at Alyssa's finance meeting.
Yes.
And it was being paid by 32, or what money, what budget was it being taken?
This is going to be the bond.
It's all bond?
Yes, yes. This ain't the safety money that I was talking about for.
Yeah, for the,
the bidirectional antennas. That's the.
Oh, okay.
That's safety money, yeah.
all right.
Yep, so just a gizmo request for you.
I'll make a motion, we buy the gizmos through the bond money.
So Chuck, can you clarify that this first one is for the Chromebooks?
Do you want, is it gotta be two separate
It
motions?
does.
Or did we have it that way on the agenda? Oh, we do, I'm so sorry, you're right.
okay.
I make I motion that we approve for the Chromebooks, the purchase an amount of 75,000?
85.
85,000, I can't hear neither.
Price went up while you were talking. So,
85.
do I have support?
85,421.
We're almost there.
I made it two motions just because they're two vendors. I felt like that was
Oh,
more
okay.
appropriate, yeah.
I guess I better do the other one because you can't read it. I move that we, we buy sorry, you can read that.
Oh, we make
Sure.
a motion to buy the
gotta
desktops.
read the one.
Well, what-
So-
why'd you tell me to say that?
I didn't, I said you're not going to say it because you can't read it.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is for the Chromebooks. Any comments or questions before I read this? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the quantities of 100 14-inch Lenovo Chromebooks and the quantity of 200 11-inch Lenovo Chromebooks totaling $85,421 to be funded by Bond 2024 as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Alyssa Bouchard,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Ken Engel,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Sure.
Kim Winter? Yes. Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Autumn Henry?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, motion passes.
You got your first set of gizmos.
Okay, next I need a motion to support the purchase of the desktop.
So moved. I make
Chuck?
a motion that we approve the
And
desktops
Alyssa?
for $79,569.
Okay, any comments or questions? I have Chuck and Alyssa. Any comments or questions?
Are there 2 Z's in Gizmo, Chuck?
One.
One.
Gizmo, G-I-Z-M-O.
Yeah.
S, right? Gizmos, because we're buying more than one.
Be it resolved that the
Yes.
Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the HP Pro Desktop package in the amount of $79,569 to be funded by the bond 2024 as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Chuck Melkey?
Yes.
Ken Engel?
Yes.
Andrea Fick?
Yes.
Autumn Henry?
Yes.
Carrie Germain?
Yes.
Kim Winter?
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard?
Yes.
7 yes.
You're
Thank you very
100 for
much.
one, man. Every time you come up, you get a yes on everything.
Thank you. I think our teachers will appreciate that as well, so
Travis.
We
appreciate it.
appreciate
Thank you.
Travis, I can't ask your wonderful family to come up next to you, but we do want to thank you profusely for all the work you do behind the scenes. I don't know that everybody understands what this guy does, and we are incredibly blessed to have you in the
What he
district.
does, he asks for lots of money
But-
every meeting. That's what he does.
But nothing is free.
Yeah.
And we love your attitude and all that you do, and you're so proactive, and you've been able to identify opportunities for us to extend the life of our technology to make it less expensive where you can. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and
Appreciate
I'm
it.
really excited to get to next year's bond when we get to the common classroom and we get those equitable classrooms, and I'm really excited about that more than anything. So we're building the groundwork now, and I think next year is going to be an awesome year for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for your
very
support.
much. All right, next we have the approval of operating renewal and investment resolution. And are there any questions for?
I asked earlier, that was a jump on it. How much is the limit that we give Ms. Cohen to spend and to invest our monies? That's what I want to know. I mean, could it be 2 million, 5 million, 10 million? I want to know.
The policy, policy 3204 requires a resolution to assign me to oversee that. And the policy itself does not have any restrictions on amount. It only dictates how the money can be invested. It has to follow Michigan State Code and board policy. But I will say I can't invest more than we have, and I have to be very mindful of cash flow. So it needs to stay liquid enough. So the investments where this came to light was the bond investment. So I want to maximize the investment, but still make sure that we have enough to, spend the bond dollars as the plan lays out. So I will work with the consultants at AUK for cash flow and project planning, as well as PFM, who has our investment, so that we can, again, maximize investment.
How much interest are we making on that money?
She was making a roll.
It's around 4%. It's north of 4%, just on the open market.
Is
With
PFM stand for, is it Pittsburgh Bank or Performance Centers? There's
I think
two,
it stands for public funds.
because there's Michigan Class, which we have some people from townships here that understand Michigan Class, because they pay 4.5% to 5%. And I don't know why, if we can't get a little bit more money on Michigan Class. It's a Michigan investment firm. That's all I'm asking. I don't know if we got to put all our cookies in one jar.
We have to pick,
Performance.
we pick one investor
What is
for the bond proceeds.
I'm sorry, Carrie. Andrea was in my ear. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Move her back down there and send Ken back down here or whoever.
I was trying to help you
So
out.
go ahead. Or send Kim down. That'd be better. I want to sit next to Ken.
Exactly.
No, because we'll be joking all the time.
So Jamie, can you explain to all of us the PFM
Yes.
and their involvement in like the sale of the bonds? And
They are municipal finance, and they are a part of sizing the bond, and they are also the investment arm to maximize the interest earnings during the duration of the bond proceeds.
Is all of our money there?
All of the bond proceeds are there, yes.
I did not know that. That's why I'm asking. Because all these firms, some of them have their money invested in different companies. Like they'll take $1. Shelley can, you can't talk, but just, you can nod your head, yes or no. They take their money and they divide it 700 ways so we don't lose our money. And I don't know as much about PFM as I do Michigan Class and some of the other firms at townships that we use, where they split the money up. So if one company goes underneath, we still have our money somewhere else. And I don't know. That's fine. Is that what we did with the first bond? Does anybody know?
Yes. I believe Baker Tilly was the agent in the last bond.
Okay.
For comparison, and we do have relationships. I have maintained and established relationships with both my class and my lab. So we are certainly hedging risk. The recap shows you how much interest we've earned, and it shows you where the custodial agent is. So we have Chase for our primary deposits, and we have investment money spread into both my class and my LAF, and they're very similar in structure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So moved.
Thank you.
Support.
So Andrea and Chuck? Motion. All right, be it resolved, any comments or questions? I apologize. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the Assistant Superintendent, Jamie Cowan, as the board's treasurer's designee and is hereby given the authority to invest district funds pursuant to both Board Policy 3204 and the revised school code. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter,
Yes.
Alyssa Bouchard,
Yes.
Autumn Henry,
No.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes. Yes.
Ken Engel,
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. And now it is time, if anyone would like to make a public comment, to come to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less.
So I'd like to start by saying, I'm not sure you're the best person for academic achievement to help out, Carrie, given the fact that it took you 3 minutes to count to 7 last week. I'm glad you did finally get there. We now have a new board member in Ken. I appreciate you. Congratulations. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you can bring some much-needed change to this board. I really want to talk about is our town hall last week, where Tyler publicly stated that Creek would receive $39 million in a lump sum, with $1 million going to escrow. You guys all know this not to be true, and we know that $20 million would be given to us at closing, and $20 million would be put into escrow to be paid out per certain milestones that Swartz Creek would have to meet. This was not discussed. Tyler totally lied to the whole crowd, to our whole community. Our last payment, we wouldn't actually get our full payment until 2028 with Tyler's purchase agreement. So knowing that, Jim, you had a copy of this purchase agreement, Jamie had a copy, you guys sat there and were complicit in his lie. You guys didn't stand up for us. You knew he was lying, and you stood there and did nothing. It's a gross breach of trust. I think there's some ethics violations there. I think you should be removed. I think Jamie should be removed. I can understand she probably couldn't say anything because she has an NDA. Maybe you do too, and that's why you couldn't say anything. I know you said you don't, but it's kind of fishy. You were there, you were on stage, you didn't say a word. You knew he was lying. You did too. And that's just the start. We got Andrea, a real estate agent. Now this new development's got 2 subdivisions in it proposed. You sell houses, right? I think that's a gross conflict. Also, there's laws that involve this. Our bylaws and our for the board have stipulations about conflict of interest. You should recuse yourself. If you don't, Carrie, you need to recuse her. You open yourself up to litigation. You could throw this whole school deal into many years of lawsuit by allowing her to continue in any conversation or vote. And so Tyler also said that we we were guaranteed there was no harm would come to us for this deal, that once we made the deal, it would go through no matter what, we would have our money. But there's actually 5 different escapes for Tyler's group to get out of this deal. One, within 90 days, says that they can cancel and they don't have to have a reason. They can just say, we don't want to do it anymore. There's 4 other ones that are also in that purchase agreement that you didn't stick up for. You knew this, you allowed him to lie to us. So I'll close kind of with, you sit up here in the middle of this board for some reason. You're not a member of this board. Rodney wasn't a member of this board, but yet you sit up here in a position of power like you own this board. There's an empty seat at the end. I think it's better suited for you. Our board needs to be together. We should have a president, vice president to lead our board. You have no power up here.
Anyone else?
I didn't know you were still here.
I'm quiet, I'm sorry.
3 hours.
Jenny Walgast. I just had a couple comments. So first of all, it was mostly about Michelle's presentation, which was great. I'm very happy to see that there's plans to address the knowledge gaps that we're seeing. And it looks like it's very good education for the teachers, all the in-services or whatever. Another critical part that you cannot overlook that is crucial to the success of these programs is getting parents, caregivers, daycares, access to all these curriculum and information as well. Because it's one thing when the kids are sitting in the classroom and getting this from the teachers, and they come home with their homework maybe. I haven't seen a lot of homework lately. And the parents are going, what on earth is this? I have no idea how to do this. I can Google it, but even with these new programs, sometimes there aren't Google resources, or there aren't Googleable resources for us to help. We can't help the kids. We want to help the kids. Get us involved. Give us the same education, give us workbooks, give us resources so that we can help these kids too, because we want to help. So that's my first comment. Second comment was about absenteeism, which is a huge issue, obviously. Reach out to these parents of these children that are not showing up. Ask why. Are they sick? Are they afraid to come in? Are they having bullying issues? Are they having transportation issues? Send out surveys. Second absence, send a survey out send something out to the parent asking what the reason for these are so we can address them. If we don't even know why these kids are missing, we can't address it. And you can't do that without the data. So there needs to be a process in place to collect this data so we can act on it. Because everybody wants to help, but we can't help if we don't know what the problem is. And then the last part is, I think safety is a part of it. There's a lot of parents that are concerned about bullying. Some kid was threatening their kid. They're going to keep their kid home because they're afraid of what's going to happen if they send their kid to school. The other part of it too is threats. I don't think the district does a really good job of addressing threats to the parents. You guys might have amazing policies and procedures and things that you're doing behind the scenes. If it isn't communicated to the parents and we don't know what's going on, and I understand that there's issues with that, you don't want to start a scare or whatever, but if we don't know what's going on in a timely fashion, we're going to be tempted to just keep the kids home. If you're communicating that better, we'll send our kids to school. But if we don't know what's going on, we see the news, we see what happens. We're going to err on the side of caution. We'll help them catch up later. But I want to be able to have a later with them, so I'm going to keep my kids home. Even if you just have education sessions again with what your policy is for addressing threats when you receive a threat, just so that we know what's going on, what to expect, I think that would really help parents feel a whole lot more comfortable. And I think it would also help your absenteeism. So those are my quick comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Good evening, Mallory Gullett. I'm here to address Autumn's bringing up of the VLC. And I would just like you guys to know that I was here last year with this topic. Several of you were at the meeting, but not on the board at that time. Carrie is a big advocate for the VLC. She cried about it and told me herself when I was here for that meeting. She supports it very much. So this program that Jim's talking about removes you from the Swartz Creek school system completely. So you have no support from Swartz Creek High School when you remove yourself for this online program he's talking about that the kids can switch to play sports still. Well, some of your VLC kids do struggle academically. That is a very hard program, the Michigan one, because I have looked at it, just so you know. I've been through this process. That's why I came originally. But you need to know that I was told directly by Jim, because Rod didn't come and talk to me ever after any of the meetings, that they only changed it for basketball and football because they want to be able to lower your district when you go to finals. It directly came from them. Adrian was the one who brought this, and it's in the handbook, which means the board decision, correct? It's board policy. I was told it was an administration policy and that the board members had no say in it. Jack was at that meeting. Jack was the one who voted against it. He was the only board member at that meeting when they changed that policy. I think it was illegal. You can't have the AD, who's an assistant principal, who was nominated by Sue Calvo, who we all know got dismissed from our school system for stealing. But then we just hired a coach that she hired and got a job at our school as our now AD and vice principal, who decided it would be a good idea to reject hundreds of our students from taxpayers' children to be able to participate in our high school's athletics. Why? Because we want our football and our basketball to do better in districts. That doesn't bring better athletes, people. That's a recipe to get lower athletes. Better athletes want to go to a better district. They don't want to go to a lower district to get into colleges. So fact check your AD, because she's the one who wanted this policy change, and every board member should go to her and want to know why. You have decided to leave out students and come up with some mystery Michigan virtual school just so you don't have to include these children. It's insane.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. I'd like to recommend that you guys have the issue of the mega site in the Moorish Elementary School on every agenda from here on out, so that the public can have a chance to speak their mind to you every time. The Maple Hill LLC applied to have the Mundy Township Board relinquish the farmland and open spaces, Public Act 116, so they could allow for infrastructure instead of farmland to be built to be used in the AMOD before the dated time frame of the current property, and also to allow them a tax exemption. The township followed the law, the Michigan law, to not allow an early relinquishment because, first of all, Maple Hill LLC is a business that claims to be a nonprofit. But there was a conflict in that how could a company be not-for-profit when they are acquiring $260 million of tax dollars and acquisitioning land from the public? That was number one. And number two, there was no buyer. Number three, there was no site plan for development. And number four, there's no public interest. They then, therefore, went over the township's head to the State Department of Agriculture, who did not follow the law, the Michigan law, as Mundy Township Board did. But I'll tell you one thing that is in public interest and is an asset to the people who live in that area is Moorish Elementary School. So I would like for this board to defend the residents and preserve the public interest and not sell the school, especially until we know if there's a buyer and there's a site plan, because that would make sense. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer. I am a Swartz Creek student, former. This is where I grew up. This is where I went to school. Some of you I recognize. Some of you I've chased off this board already. Not meaning to, but apparently I did. But I'm going to bring up the hard questions to you right now. So I think the elephant in the room is the 950 kids that the taxpayers of Mundy Township, Swartz Creek, Gaines are all paying for to come to school here, that are costing us millions of dollars every year. The amount that is being forced by the taxpayers to fork out of pocket is literally causing your district to go bankrupt. $3,880,000 is what it cost, above and beyond what you're receiving from the state, for 950 kids to come to this school district. That's why you don't have parents participating. Half of your school is from outside of the district. I like to give real numbers too. So I'm going to give you some real numbers. The student rate last year for 2024 was estimated at 3,485. That number also includes the 950 that you took in from outside enrollment. If you were to take the 950 kids that don't need to come here because they have their own districts, they have other places to go. If you went with the legitimate number that the state recommended when they set up this program, which is 1% of what your school enrollment for your district is, based upon your school enrollment, you would find that out of that 3,485, you should have only actually put in 34 kids to your school district. So the school board is costing the taxpayers millions of dollars every single year, and this is why we're falling behind. The numbers reflect it. 2016, I've got the school digger report. I'm very familiar with it. I was very surprised when I went to your town hall meeting and I brought this up, that the 4 people that were sitting up on the panel had absolutely no idea what the school digger was. And you guys are the educators. I'm not an educator, but I knew what it was, and I knew what the numbers are. And you know, you said, I don't know where those numbers come from. They come from the State Department of Education. That's where those numbers come from for their school digger report. So if you don't think they've got the right information, I'll guarantee you they do, because that's who's getting your test results.
Thank you.
I have one question. I'm allowed to ask a question. Where'd you get that 1% number at? I've not heard that number.
That was actually listed online. Google it, it'll tell you. When that first came out for school of choice, that was the formula that the state of Michigan came up with. It was 1% based on your school enrollment. Google it.
Thank you. That was my question.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we can move on to comments and questions from the board. Anyone?
I have a few comments. First of all, Ken, you did mention something that I agree with you on. I think part of the problem with our school is the curriculum. The basic things are not being taught, you know, that kids need to know. My second question or comment is that as far as the sale of more school, I myself, after hearing all the information that I've heard, I think we need to table that until there's a buyer. We don't even, I mean, we don't know. Why would we sell a school when that property could sit there vacant for years? There is an area across the street from Elm's School that was at one time supposed to become a golf course, and still it sits there today, vacant. It's just not, years have gone by. I don't know if that's what will happen with this property, but it could. And so I don't think that we should be entertaining buying this, you know, or selling this right now. I mean, maybe we will, you know, depending on what happens, but I don't think we need to
that should be tabled right now, as far as I'm concerned. The other question, I just wondered, as far as these kids that are missing all this school, I was talking to Carrie at the break. What happens when we get to that third tier is what I was asking. Do we send somebody out there? And what happens when the...
Yeah, so basically, we send letters at 5, 10, and 15 days, and then it's supposed to be a referral to the truancy court. So it's been challenging when we get to that level with court. We haven't felt that it's been real successful. And so as a result of the findings that we had, we have implemented an attendance task force that has Kelly Hale and Lorraine Ahern kind of heading that up, where we're getting together and trying to get real-life, applicable opportunities for our kids, our families, as some people would mention, inviting them in, talking about what supports do you need to ensure that your kid can be in school every day and on time. So it has been a struggle beyond what we offer to get support for our students who are truant.
Okay, I know the truancy court. I know for a fact that they don't do much, but it's a problem, I know.
I think Ken brought that up. What's the fix for it then, to Kim's question? I've got my comments, but I'd like to know that. Get it out of GISD's hands or what?
Well, I mean, Jim will probably know more about it than I do, but however many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, all this truancy got, matter of fact, Swartz Creek grad is actually who runs the program over there. It all got transferred over to the ISD. And again, from when I was doing SRO over at Linden, little to nothing's done with it once it gets there. Now, I'm not saying they're not doing their job, because none of us know what their job is, but no one's going to court. And as my dad used to have a cliche, it's like two guys waiting to fight, one's scared and the other one's glad of it. And that's kind of the scenario here, is it leaves us and goes over there, but we're not doing anything with it. And while we're sending letters, similar to what they do over at Linden. I think all the districts probably have a similar policy. But when it gets over to ISD is where it vanishes. Because I can tell you right now, from talking to the building principal at Linden, nothing really ever comes back. They send it over, and I'm not an ISD fan, so probably the less I say, the better. But I'm just not an ISD fan.
If I could chime in real quick too, just being, I don't know how strong that is, not too recently removed from all of that. What Ken's saying is accurate. What Jim's saying is accurate. And so we've tried as best we can. The whole idea between the ISD kind of taking over the role they have is to coordinate resources. They've been able to bring a concentration of resources at the county level. That was the idea. But the overwhelming need is still there. So you're still going after a lot of your people who are very much struggling to get to school. And so sometimes it's fruitful and oftentimes it's not. So you asked, what can be done? I agree that maybe there needs to be something done differently with resources. I think there's always that idea, but in terms of what we do at a practical level for our buildings here in Swartz Creek, I think the more we can be proactive up front, making relationships with families and trying to tell them, hey, we want you in school. I know that we do with Lorraine and Kelly and stuff like that. We do the, meetings with the kids that are struggling, meetings with the families that are struggling, doing a breakfast for them when they come in, not just to celebrate them coming in and, whatever, but to just get them to come in more regularly. We've had a few successes, but it is very resource intensive for those high needs kids. So,
Who is GISD in charge, or can we be in charge of our own fate? I'm just asking that question. Yeah. Is there an agreement that we signed with them?
No, GISD is attempting to be a resource to us. We can do our own.
Do we? All right, now to the money thing, real quick. Do we give them money towards this resource?
Not that I'm. Jamie.
Oh, we do.
Jamie's saying yes.
Jamie.
I'd want to double check, but I want to say it's fairly nominal. I'm thinking it was like maybe $3,000 a year towards that one
pool.
person shared throughout the schools.
I didn't know if our money would be better spent with the board to say, hey, listen, maybe we should go back to an internal something, so we help Michelle Paul, but I'm also concerned about how many of these children, kids, are actually from our district that is not showing up, that may be driving up them numbers. I don't know that. That's data I would like to know that you can add to your list of things to do, because that's an important factor for this board to know.
That is important, Chuck.
Yes,
How many of them are even from this district?
Exactly. So if you say, hey, Chuck, you have a 30% truancy rate or absenteeism rate, but then somebody says, well, 21% from out district, we're spending even more money now, instead of the $4,000 a year, to chase around our tail. And I don't think the taxpayers, I'm just saying, I'm not gonna get my thing, but that's all I had to say. So these are some numbers we have to know. Jim, Michelle, Carrie, and Dave, is that how many are out of district? How many are in district? What's the cost? And can we do it more efficiently ourselves?
I think that we really need to, I'm not totally against school of choice, but I think we really need to look at capping that at some point, because it's just, it seems like it's out of control.
I vote no for it every year.
I would
Just so you know,
suggest
for
that we look at the data objectively.
Yes.
And let the data tell us what is going on.
Yeah, so. Sorry, we can't let you talk right now, but I will talk. I know exactly what she's getting at. And I was gonna say the same thing. I know there's people in this audience, and myself included, our kids were terrible with attendance, and they lived in district. Somebody's child may have been sleeping in the parking lot and wasn't caught. So, some things, and I've brought this up to our resource officer at the building, like walk the parking lot. Like walk it and make sure not only do our kids have their parking permits, but are they sleeping in their cars? Not calling her out because she brought it up, but, my kid, brags about the fact he had 300 absences last year. We live in district. My kid knew all he had to do was pass the exam, and he passed the class. Doesn't matter how many times. So I know I've had this conversation with Ms. Damon, because she knows how I feel. One of the things I'll mention in policy handbook is, I fought really hard last year that the GPA didn't matter for sports. I just don't want you failing the class. But I think we need to take that a step further, and it needs to be more about attendance and more about maybe missing assignments. We need to get a little deeper with if your reward to go play sports. I don't want you failing classes, right? Because at the end of the day, my kid could have failed math and English and not graduated and could have got his 2.0. And I've said that, beat that dead horse. But we're talking up here, because now I forgot what else I was gonna say. Oh, and I also know the truancy officer. I don't know if she's still in position. About 2 years ago, I met the nice young lady who was and it's a fight. They get to court, and the judge is like, "Oh, do better next time." So it's a struggle for her being the person who comes in to be the truancy officer for the court system, right? And she's like, "It's a waste." And I hate to say this in a public meeting, but then when they tell our kids over the building, "You're 17, it doesn't matter now." Because at 17, there's no truancy.
Well,
So worst news my kid could have ever gotten was, it doesn't matter. And as a parent who gets a letter in the mail, I'm a what is that? Self-consequence, it's not the word I'm looking, natural consequence. You don't make it to school, there's a school consequence. So anyways, there's my.
To touch on your attendance thing, though, is you're gonna have to do it out of season as well.
Absolutely.
You can't just do it while they're in season. And in reference to what you're saying, Chuck, if it doesn't have to run through the ISD, then it's just paperwork your assistant principals can push.
Okay.
And push it to the court system itself. The court system's a problem as well, but.
Right.
But I mean, I guess my question would be is, how many things did we send over to the ISD? How many names? How many went to court? Where did the paperwork go? I guarantee you no one's following up on it. And I mean, I'd take that bet. So if we're not following up on what they're doing, there's a superintendent over there, and he's very cooperative, because when I had a problem with a teacher over there, I had my problem solved pretty quick with Tunnicliffe. Pretty good guy. And so, but it's a matter of communicating it. And I think, well, I sent it to the ISD. It's gone. It's magic now. And so what are they doing with it? I don't think anyone's really following up on it.
So our district has to be more responsible to follow up on those individuals.
Or don't, push it themselves.
Yeah, or push, yeah, that's what I was getting at. Let's see what the data says, and let's either do it ourselves or not do it, if it's not
And the
worth
best
it.
place to address the truancy, to me, and you're dealing with a young adult when you get to high school. I'm not saying it's not important there, but if you start getting after the parents in the elementary schools with this, you set a tone and a behavior. And when a court referee's looking across the table because little Susie, who's in first grade, missed 30 or 40 days of school, maybe someone's gonna care. Why don't you have your first grader there? When they're in ninth grade and they go, I ain't going. And, the kid's 6 foot tall and mom's 5'1". Right.
5'7" actually.
So I mean, the bottom line is not that you ignore the high school kids, but when you get there,
It's a lost cause.
It very well could be. It's gonna be tough. But
That's a great point.
at the elementary and middle school, just a thought.
I really like the approach that this team, the administrators, Michelle, are taking, the task force for absenteeism, to look at solutions for families. And that doesn't mean it's going to fix it, maybe temporarily, but to help people identify what it is that's standing in the way and to give them resources that they can use to support their children. Sometimes it's a nudge, sometimes it's a push, someplace the derriere. And just knowing what it is that is standing in the way of the students going to school and staying there.
Like Jenny's idea, when she said that we just straight up ask, like, why haven't you been in school this week, Jimmy? Like, that's the only way to get accurate information, I feel like, is by asking the hard questions.
The thing is, they're getting the time, which I totally agree too, right? Picking the phone and calling, and I can, having that, yes, like making sure that those questions are asked and getting through to the parents. But again, you get to the high school level and you're kind of lost, right?
Yeah.
Jim will bring us back some ideas. I
He
think
will.
that's enough on truancy.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I have a couple things. One, I would like to make sure we put on the next agenda that we, however we do that, this is my first rodeo with hiring a superintendent. And I know we're in it for a long haul. I am in no rush to get this done. And I know we talked about this a little bit before. I have an HR background, and I had to do some digging into this process because I sat through Rod's interview, but it was no part of it. But I think I've heard from many sources, from staff, from different superintendents, different peoples, this is a long process, and we should be in it for the long haul. And I'm going to quote someone who came and interviewed to be on this board last weekend. Who would want that job right now? I mean, we had someone come and sit here in the board interviews last night and said or last week, and said they applied because they didn't think anybody else would. I'm going to be honest, I think if we tried to get someone in here next month, who's going to want this job? With the things we're facing, the decisions we're facing, and some of the community contention about Moorish, I don't think we're going to get a good candidate right now. But what I've done in my research is, this is not a short-term if we want to find the best candidate, it is spring, it is winter and spring is when you are really narrowing in. There is a pool. Again, done some homework. I'm not going to elaborate on it. I just think we need to put it on the next agenda that we then, and if this is the right way to do it, Madam President, is that we vote on hiring. We maybe do the homework in the next 3 weeks of the company we're going to employ to do that for us, so we can get the ball rolling, knowing that it's going to be a long process to get there. And I just want to point out, I mean, I know a lot of people have things to say about when we knew Rod was coming. Our last superintendent before Rod applied for 4 jobs before he got one. So, I mean, just because they apply for one doesn't mean they're going to get it.
No, I know that, but he told all of us about it.
He told me the day before it went public.
Ben did?
Oh, Ben? Oh, I thought you meant Rod.
No. Ben, when I had my meetings with Ben for 3.5 years straight, he always said hey, I'm maybe putting in for a job. I'm not saying that we pull the wool out from underneath anybody's feet or the rug. And I agree with you, it is a long process. But we could have started it I'm not saying when, but somewhere in mid-May, we didn't have to start it, but we could have made a couple calls and said, hey, company A, company B, and company C,
we may lose our superintendent. What's your cost, and when can you start? And we're still talking about things 8 weeks later now.
That's why I'm saying we
Right.
need to put it on the next agenda, because it wasn't here tonight, so I'm saying let's put it on the agenda.
No, that's great, I'm agreeing with you. And we need to put it on, and even if we start today, even if we started tomorrow, which I've sent several emails to board members about this, is that it's still gonna be a month or two before we decide on a firm, right? And then it's gonna be a couple months before they get the criteria, and then it'll be a month or two if we go really slow and we slow walk it. It won't be till probably December-ish, give or take a couple weeks, where they say, okay, we're gonna start advertising, start looking for different people, and Jim's gonna put in for it too. Right, Jim?
That is not right.
Okay, all right. But
I don't know yet.
let me finish out my scenario. If Jim decides to put out in for it, he does. By the time we interview candidates, get everything rolling, it'll be probably March-ish before we make a decision. And then if Jim's in the top contention, then Jim's there. If Jim decides to retire in June, what a perfect way. We're not keep dragging the chain and ball. So I agree with you, because me and Carrie had a heated discussion, and we kind of, let's get Jim promoted as interim superintendent, and then we'll try to move forward with the process. And some people, and without names, hey, it's 25, 30 grand. We spent $51 million. We spent some gizmo money today, right? Travis, wake up.
Okay, but we
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying,
We
yeah.
all want to go home.
So, yeah, but that's what it would have cost. And that's, it's good for our board to
Right.
do that, especially with
Right.
everything we've talked about today.
So Chuck,
I agree
If
with
we
you.
can bring three, I don't know who's going to bring those companies to us,
Carrie.
if that's a Jamie
Yes.
job or Carrie job. If
So-
you can bring those companies to us next meeting so we can pick one, that gets the ball rolling.
Yes, they have. And Chuck, I know that everybody thinks that I get my fill of all this, but on vacation, I spent a good portion of the week looking at search firms and what was available, who used them, were they successful? Not everybody is.
I did some research.
Do
too on it.
people stay? I reached out to some folks that I know in the educational community who either have experience being interviewed or understanding the climate, and they consistently said the middle of the year is our sweet spot for saying, let's pull the trigger, probably a term that would be popular with you, Chuck, given your background, but pull the trigger and do it.
No,
and
I always say walk away. Pull it as the
Okay.
last resort.
All right.
Pull it as the last.
You know I don't shoot guns.
I know, yeah.
If we want someone in place, and Jim, did you want to share what you shared with me about your plans?
Yes, because I really, at this point, my plan is to retire in June, but would love the opportunity to see you through this process. I guess if it was ideal for me, that if you had a goal of having the new superintendent in seat July 1, I would love the opportunity to be superintendent at a graduation. For me, that would be kind of a bucket list thing. And I would love the opportunity to bring the Michigan Association of School Boards in to help with this decision so that you get the best person possible. When I leave Creek, I would love to know that it is in great hands. So that's,
And one of the other candidates is MLI, Michigan Leadership Institute, one of the other options. There's others. Some of them recruit outside of Michigan. Some of them are not well-known within Michigan, but just in a nutshell, those two that were just mentioned have the preponderance of recruitment for different districts. And so I'm absolutely supportive of Andrea's suggestion. We need to time it correctly. We can do some legwork, but we need to time it because the pool that you get of people is the most critical component. What does the community want? What is the board looking for? What is the good cultural fit? And these folks actually know who's out there, who might be looking, who would just slot right into what we're looking for. And so,
Well,
absolutely.
I got a great idea then. Bring up 3 or 4 firms at the next meeting and send us an email so we can review them and do some research, our own individual research as a board, and then bring it up, and then maybe we can, make a decision then when we're a little bit more educated on it. So bring up 3 or 4 firms, and I think that
Yeah.
would work.
And our job is to do what's best for the district, right? Not what best fits
For any
Jim's
individual.
schedule, right? So if that means we gotta find one sooner than later, that's what it means, but.
Right now, we would not have a good pool because people have actually been placed.
You can Google it.
I did, and you know what? It's funny. I did Google AI, and you know what they said?
It said start in the winter.
No, they said there was no good or bad time. It's whatever. That's what it said on Google. Yeah, I Googled it. I Googled it too. I figured that out.
So at the next meeting, we will put this on the agenda. We will
just have-
assemble some resources. I would encourage people to look to see what's out there to validate what I've said, what Chuck has said, Andrea. It is not, I've been through this twice. It's not something that you want the board to have to take responsibility for. We do not have the connections. We don't have the spare time. It's very time intensive. And to do it well, you want people who are familiar with the environment, the people, and can offer training, can offer to the board about how this process can work, can do a lot of the legwork outside of these conversations. And then, we direct them to when we want to have someone in place. That doesn't mean that someone comes in right away and Jim walks out the door.
I don't think that would be beneficial to the
Right.
district overall.
Right, but to have a
Start the
plan,
process.
to have a plan so that if we wanted to seat someone effective July 1st, then you have that plan in place. So let's do that for the next meeting. Anybody else have any?
I don't want to hold us to that date. Well, I got some things to say. I didn't go, this board comments, we're discussing board. Nobody at that end of the table said anything.
Because you guys are talking.
Well, then talk. I haven't got to my comments. Talk.
Real quick, to piggyback on that, I think one of the things that needs to be done, when I gave my spiel the other day to be put on the board,
Yeah.
I don't want to beat up the superintendent before we hire him, but put clauses in his contract, or her contract, whoever's, that says you have to give 120-day notice before you leave. There's nothing unreasonable about that.
I agree, Ken.
There's a bunch of things that I think we can put out, when we put that position out there, put the criteria in there that their contract's gonna look like. That way, whoever it is can look at it and go, I don't wanna go work there. But guess what? You don't have a guy after he's been here 2 years already looking for jobs. And you don't have people that walk in and wanna be a resume builder. Drives me insane.
Good point.
And so put some things in there that makes that person make a decision before they put in an application. Just some thought on that. And I do have a couple quick things. That was one of them. We're gonna look at meetings, correct? Okay. And I don't know who or what I need to ask, but any ounce of information to do with the sale of Moorish, I would like to make sure I have.
I was gonna suggest.
Because tonight I played nice in the ballpark as far as hiring people. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't get a chance to read all that. I got it today at work. And even if I'd have got it Thursday, I may not have read it all. But the handbook was one of the things, and it took care of itself. But that was one of the things I was looking at work today, and I had some issues with it. But I was gonna let it go. Because I got all that information today. So, but anything to do with the sale of this, I obviously need to catch up. I'm way behind.
Well, I think we all kind of are, to some extent, you know what I mean, like, looking it all over. I actually had my notes, and I was just getting ready to say before you did, that maybe we plan a special meeting, and that's all we talk about. Not from a town hall perspective, that was education for the community, but a special meeting where we as the board can do just this, and we get a chance to talk about the purchase agreement, dig through it, talk about the term, talk about the what ifs. The what ifs we sell, what if we don't sell?
I don't have the ability to even, I watched the town hall, we're gonna give you $40 million. I heard from now 2 different resources, this gentleman and another one, well, it's 20 million. I also heard we were gonna have to pay rent to keep our own building.
$100 a year.
Right, I'm just saying. But who's maintaining the building if I'm paying rent?
They are. So this is,
But I mean,
we need a
these are-
special meeting for just this. It was on my list, Ken.
Okay, cool.
On my list.
That's all I have.
So I still have one more thing. because I didn't get to finish, but thank you for bringing that up first, Ken. So I have a job, and my job is a real estate agent. I've actually lost business because of the mega site. People that think that I am somehow connected with it, completely wrong. I've actually lost listings because it's ethical for me to direct them to, if they're gonna sell to them, because they cover all of their closing costs. So I've actually lost things there as far as me being associated with the new subdivision that Dave Lurie's building. I've never worked with Dave Lurie in my life, so no association with that whatsoever. So my job is separate from me as a board member, and any decision this board is gonna make about selling the building, two separate things.
Read the law. Even the appearance of conflict.
That's not your turn to
Means
talk.
you need to recuse yourself. The appearance.
Not your turn to talk.
You have a financial gain.
I'm sorry,
Excuse me. Thank you.
am I set to go now?
Yes.
I know I've asked a lot of questions, but I haven't had my board comment. Okay, real quick. I already told you about the OMA violation. They already hit the thing about the, which I'm still gonna write a short letter, and I'm gonna review that tape that you told me to, Carrie and Jim. The school. I thought that would be on the agenda today. That's kind of why I voted no on the agenda, because some people came here specifically to listen about the school. We said at the town hall meeting that we would have a Monday meeting, and I think a lot of people assumed that we were going to talk about that, and it should have been on the agenda. I know it would have drug it out more, but we're here to do government work, so we have to stay as long as we have to. So that's why I voted no on the agenda. The survey, I know there were 62 because I couldn't ask my questions. Some gentleman was there nice enough to ask for me. I was told kind of at the last minute that I can't talk, which I didn't know that because there was board members there. But my other hat is I should have been able to ask some questions as a resident because $40 million is given to us, but there is no sanitary sewer that's capable of taking all the waste from that corner to where they need to do it, which would have been a several $1,000,000 cost, because I know a little bit about that infrastructure, and guess who would have probably got hit with the bill? Well, I know that, but this is all coming so fast, and I agree with Kim, we should table it, but these are, and the next question is that the roads all have to be changed in Gaines Township, because they're not gonna allow you to put a school in without a de-acceleration lane, an acceleration lane, a turn lane, and guess who's that cost would have been? Well, we didn't give you that price in the building, so here's an additional $3 million that you're gonna have to pay, that you people would have to pay. And some of you don't live in the district that are employees here, but I've lived here for 47 and a half years, and I have 2 businesses here. And you know what? I'm paying a crap load in taxes. So with that being said, them are all questions that should have been asked, or I should have been at least asked because I said Swartz Creek resident. Okay, I'll move on with that now. There was a comment brought up by several people at that town hall meeting, and I know people don't think I have a heart, but I have a bigger heart than what most think. And I didn't think about the neighborhoods. We sell the school, that's gonna probably be the death of Lindenwood Farms, Floria subdivision, King Arthur subdivision, Windermere, Lynn Hill, I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I can't hear, get newer words come from. Yeah, okay, I said 5, I'm sorry. So 8. And then what's gonna happen, yeah, the Maple one right down the road from it.
But Andrea will have a lot of homes to sell.
Okay, that's enough. Yeah, just give us a second here, it's board comment. So, what I thought about when that meeting was going on is that, boy, it'd be really crappy if I owned a house in that subdivision. The school bails, a lot of the houses already bailed, and now my house is gonna go from 275, 300, because I'm not gonna get the big money like the perimeter houses did, and now my house is worth 150. And everybody's like, oh, we're gonna get residents in here. No, we're not. We're gonna end up being, we're gonna sell our houses for less than what they're worth. We may end up being in worse shape than what we are. So we have to think about that as good neighbors to the other people that live within a half a mile or 1 mile of that circumference, okay? So that was it on that, okay? Is everybody cool with that? School of choice, some people beat that up. You know, I voted no on school of choice, and I think that we should have a cap on school of choice. We voted on it already this year without any discussion. I tried to discuss it, but I got shut down. And I actually talked to a lot of people, so I didn't base it on my own personal opinion. I based it on the 50 or 60 people I talked to before I made that decision, and not one person, and they may say, well, they're all like-minded like you, Chuck, but I wonder if my fellow board members asked 50 or 60 people that walk into their store that said,
oh, Chuck, that's the way school choice works? I don't know if I can keep affording that. And everybody's like, we'd have to pay the money anyways. You're right. If those 900 kids didn't come to our district, we would still have to pay the built-in tax that the local taxes pay. But as I said, we could use that so we didn't have to raise a bond to pay for stuff, because that's about $4 million a year. And we may have to lay off some teachers. I feel bad about that. We had great candidates today, but we have to look out what's best for the residents. And it's not always rainbow and candy when somebody offers you 40 million bucks. And I'm very skeptical about it. I have no problems with the actual individuals that are trying to do their job. They're just trying to solve something. So at the end of the day, and I think Kim said it, thank you, Kim, for saying it, we have to look at this upside down, left to right, forward, backwards, turn it inside out, and make sure that we're benefiting not only the district, but you guys always talk about community. Excuse me, ma'am, you said 7, I thought it was 5 subdivisions in the area, and I should know better. Yep. That we have to protect somewhat those along with our children, because that will affect our tax base. And now they're talking about giving tax decreases for this property. If I'm not mistaken, I read it in the paper, if they can't even find a buyer. We may end up losing money on this whole deal the whole way around. And our building currently there is a brick building with storm shelters, tornado shelters. I didn't hear anything about storm shelters, tornado shelters for a kid. I know they're gonna build the code, but it's a metal building. Our problem with our brick buildings are, go to Europe. They last for 500 years. You know what they do to all their brick buildings? They put peaked roofs on. For a couple $1 million, guess what we could do to every brick building in this district? We could do what? Steel peaked roof, gutters, bingo. Now we got a building that may need heaters and windows every now and then, which we need anyways. We need in that school. So I'm not too quick to do that, and thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I have one more thing here. I did write it down, but it's on my other sheet. Jamie, can we get the exact dollar amount at the next meeting of what it cost or we get for the school of choice? Because I talked to someone, I can't disclose who or where, but I guess I could, someone that works in the Department of Ed, and they actually say we make money off the school of choice kids. So can we get a solid number at the next meeting, what that looks like, so we don't have to guess and debate on that anymore?
You're right.
And
You're right.
just
It was
to
on the
clarify-
PowerPoint that she gave us last month. 60% comes from the state to 70, 25 comes from local, and 5 to 7% comes from the Fed.
All I'm telling you is the whole time my phone was blown up.
Well, you know what? Them people must have failed math, because I've done it upside down and backwards. It's okay.
Clarification,
Sorry.
last year's.
But get it to us,
Thank you,
please.
please.
We'll revisit it.
In fact, Jamie sent me an email, I can share it to you, that it costs $14,100 to train a kid. I have an email from her.
To train a kid, is what you said?
Well, I mean, to put the kid through the school. You remember that email?
I remember you referring to it when I was doing my budget update, but I don't remember the
It was,
specific.
I have the email, it's $14,178, and a state allowance gives us $9,600. Either way you cut it, that's actually about $4,400 per kid.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, everyone.
You shouldn't have brought it.
So thanks for all of the recommendations, comments, suggestions. I know it's a lot. Michelle, thank you again for being here and for taking all of the questions from everyone. I'm actually very excited about this time of our life. We don't normally have this many people here to hear about some of the data, the challenges, the plans, and so thank you for consistently leading there. And I guess that's all I have to say. We're very blessed to have you here. Thank you. To my fellow board members, thank you very much.
We'll move to close the meeting. Ms.
Yeah,
Thank you
second
very
that.
much. Thank you. Any comments, or do I have a second? Okay. Comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.